Branch, the judiciary, President Trump is stopped by the judiciary branch very often. And I think this could harm America. We were seeing great results from the tariffs, but if we're going to just change the names and the terms, well, let's do what the leftist politicians do, what Democrats do, especially in my home state of Colorado, and call it something else, like a fee. We have taxes that the citizens vote on. However, on top of that is fee after fee after fee that no one ever takes a vote on, yet we are forced to pay whatever that fee is. So maybe instead of tariffs,
we live in California. You don't have to tell us.
Yes. So maybe President Trump just needs to start imposing these fees. President Trump is stopped by the judiciary.
That's crazy, right? Bill Maher's agreeing with Lauren Boebert. Wow. I don't know. Why is her glasses tilted like that? I always thought she was very cute, but I don't know. Not a good pause. Hey, what's up, everybody? Great to see you tonight. I got a couple more videos that were like maybes for the intro. Like, I don't know which ones are going to be intro. I didn't want to use any AI tonight. I was trying to get away from it. So let's see who's here tonight. First was Iowa Backyard Cams. What's up? Great to see you. Thanks for being here. Have a great evening. See y'all soon. That's great. SB Farmers here with a wave. Miss Hacker, what's up? How you doing? Sunshine's here. Great to see you, Sunshine. Yeah, Tony's here. What's up, Tony? Yeah, thumbs up, drinking, love bacon. That's good. I do too. Or love kisses. I don't know. Is that kisses or bacon? I don't know. Good evening, Kelly. Great to see you. Woodtick Mike's here. Hello, all. None of your business. Good to see you all. Good to see you too. Snarf. What's up, Snarf? Great to see you, Snarf. Catherine K's here. Hello, Jim and Jim Somniacs. Great to see you. Finally able to see you live. Is gift membership better than money? Hey, West Pro. What's up, man? Great to see you. Lisa Daydays, what's up here, man? Great to see you. Good evening. Saxon Rady, howdy. How you doing? Great to see everybody tonight. Yeah, so there was a couple of other videos I was like, I don't know. I'm probably going to get to, this one should have probably been the opener. But we'll pull this one up real quick and talk about it here. So this young woman explains why Chicago residents didn't protest or riot against ICE the way people did in Los Angeles or Minneapolis. Jim is glitching early tonight. I glitched? Are you serious? It glitched out? What happened? What glitched out? What did I do wrong? Now I'm freaking out. Something go wrong? I didn't talk about the goal yet. I didn't get into it. But what's up, Jet? Great to see you. Downtown DCat. Hey, what's up? Great to see you. This was going to be the other... I don't know what you mean by glitching. Explain. Something wrong with the camera? Something wrong with the mic? What is the problem? No audio? Oh, you're talking about the audio. Oh, no audio on the video? You didn't hear it? So she said she worked security at an aid office, and black residents began noticing that illegal immigrants, particularly Venezuelans, were filling the office every day. And they had a separate line. They couldn't speak English. They're receiving much larger amounts of assistance than Chicago residents. It's crazy. So let's hear what she has to say, all right? What do you think? What do you think? Let's see.
I really thought when ICE came to Chicago, we was gonna cut up how LA did, or how Minneapolis did. But y'all wanna know the reason why I feel like Chicago didn't cut up like that?
Minneapolis?
And I'm choosing to do one of my political science papers on this for South America. And I'm gonna do it on the mass migration of Venezuelans to Chicago. I feel like that migration desensitized like the city to immigrants. Like we didn't feel bad about them not speaking English because the Venezuelans, they came here by the boatload. And not only did they come by the boatload, they was getting hella money and leave, holding up their A offices. Man, y'all, I was working in security in the A office. When I say it was such a big difference from what the A office looked before they came and when they came, they come there getting $3,000-$4,000 on link and cash aid. They getting all type of aid from the government. Meanwhile, citizens, real citizens who pay taxes, was sitting there damn near begging for $100 a month in link. Like, you get what I'm saying? Man, y'all know black people talk shit, so everybody in the office, because it's two separate lines for the immigrants and citizens, because it's like 1 million in the ass and outside the offices every morning. So the black people will notice, and they be like, all these motherfuckers here, they getting this much money, and they getting this. I saw somebody leave a receipt with this balance on it. Like, they do a bunch of that, so everybody know or knew what the Venezuelans had going on. Everybody was getting enraged by it, though, like, nobody was like, oh yeah, their country is literally inhabitable. They need to be here with us. We helping them with a sanctuary shit. They was thinking, okay, we get it, y'all got a fucked up country, but y'all fucking up our city. So go. Type shit. Like, they just didn't care. And again, like I said, they was supplying these Venezuelans and everything. These motherfuckers had cars and all. They was fucking people cars up. They kept getting accidents. And then you can't even communicate in English with these motherfuckers to get their insurance or shit because they don't speak English. Like, I'm not gonna lie. That time, around that time, a year or two ago, for them full 2 years, it was bad. I really feel like that made Chicago people not give a fuck about immigrants. And I wish the shit ain't play out like that because I really do feel like, if we understood what their country looked like, we would understand why we had sanctuary cities to begin with. And another thing they was doing, they was coming over here with fucking ankle monitors and shit on. Like, you know how hard it is as a citizen to see somebody getting thousands of dollars and paid easily, and they're not even a citizen. And they got the nerve to have on house arrest ban. So you clearly a criminal. And regular American citizens can't get these same benefits that they asking for 10 times less than what you getting. I think that's why we didn't cut up for the immigrants, domestic immigrants. When I start coming here fucking shit up, at that point we just desensitized to immigrants completely, and that's fucked up even more. Okay, but I'm not gonna lie, the way Chicago handled being a sanctuary city for them was also fucked up. Y'all got starving Chicagoans, y'all got homeless Chicagoans. Why the fuck are y'all clearing out vacant buildings for Venezuelans? But all right.
I think she was just mad she wants more free shit for herself. I think that's what that was. Yes, she needs to lay off. What's up, Gypsy? Great to see you. She needs to lay off the caffeine. Margie, what's up? Great to see you. Hi, all. How you doing? Dan's here. What's up, Dan? The other Gagax. Great to see you. Great to see you. She's not wrong, though. Yeah. Yeah. Looks like everybody's here. It looks like everybody in the house getting tipsy. Rock the Casbar. What's up? Sup, dude? How you doing, man? How you doing? How you doing? So yeah, and then I had one more video that was going to be a possible intro video, which I thought was real funny. And this marriage summed up. This sums up what marriage is like for men. All right, ready? You want to see? It sums up what marriage is like for men. All right. Yeah. Maybe some, but when you got homeless people, vets, etc. Yeah. Yep.
温馨提示：为了您和他人的身体健康，请不要在超市内行喝。上下电梯时站稳扶好，照顾好老人、小孩，以免发生危险。亲爱的顾客您好，欢迎光临惠特丰超市二老店，早晚关注微会员好，免费。
And I don't know if this is real. This is like, wow. I have to think this might not be real, but the way, like, he's just taking it out of the bag and showing it to her, and she's like, oh no, this isn't good. And wow. And she just keeps going like, oh, anything he gives her is no good. Like, wow. So anyway. All right, now we got through the intros. Let's get into the show. All right, yes, it was very funny, very funny. All right, so the show operates by the generosity of all the people who are in the audience. All right, so the show is about 2 hours long, unless you people want it to be longer, and then, yes, that's a marriage not made in heaven. Yeah. Unless you people want it to be longer, and then how it works is that for every $100 in total in super chats or gifted memberships that comes in, super chats, Rumble rants, Cash App, PayPal, Coffee, Ko-Fi, super tips, becoming members on Rumble or YouTube or Twitch or Kick, or gifting members on Rumble, YouTube, Twitch, or Kick, PayPal, Cash App. For every 100 that comes in, we add an extra hour to the show. And then the show could be as long as you want. It could be 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, whatever. And also, as an added bonus, when we hit $50, we activate Bellavision for the evening. And but as a added treat, if somebody donates $25 or greater at an individual single donation, we activate Bellavision automatically. That could be a super chat or a PayPal, a Cash App, whatever. Or it could be a gifted memberships. If someone gifts 5 gifted memberships from either Rumble or YouTube, that's automatically Bellavision for the evening because it's over $25. So there's that. Yeah, yes. Tell it to me, Jim. Let's go. Okay. Of course it's real. I thought you've been married. Every man that has been knows it's real. I'm saying it's real. So let's get into the first story of the evening here. We have this. This is a story about an immigration judge who was approving way more people for asylum than was possible, that was statistically possible, like orders of magnitude more approvals than was statistically possible. So fewer than 5% of applicants have legitimate cases for asylum claims. Yet the average number granted by immigration judges is 45%. Wow. The reason is a small number of activist judges like Vivian E. Gordon Urukapa, who grant over 90% of the claims before her. Urukapa has been fired, but we've got to get rid of all the other activist judges if we want to solve this crisis. So yeah, activist judge who granted 90% of asylum claims fired. Yes, this judge who, wow, kind of looks like, where's those pictures taken? You're fired. Feds axe New York judge who handed out more asylum claims than any other judge. Oh, what do you know? I wonder who hired her. Here's this judge's background. It says Judge Vivian E. Gordon Urukapa has served on a New York immigration court since her appointment in June 2002. Oh, so she was appointed by good old George W. Bush. Somebody in the Bush administration. She earned her undergraduate degree from Fordham and her JD from Howard in '84. Her prior roles included assistant district counsel for the former INS in New York, supervisor and staff attorney at the Legal Aid Society's Criminal Defense Division. See, that should have been a red flag right there. The Legal Aid Society, who provides lawyers to these illegals, and a Legal Services Corporation fellow. She's a member of the New York Bar. From fiscal year 2019 through fiscal year 2024, she decided 924 asylum cases on the merits, granting asylum in 806 cases, granting other relief in 30, and denying relief in 88. That reflects a 9.5% denial rate. How long has he been a judge? So that's from 2002. So a long time. Or a 90.4% overall grant relief rate. By comparison, immigration judges nationwide denied 57.7% of asylum claims during the same period, while judges at the New York Immigration Court denied just 34%. Only 2.9% of asylum seekers before her lacked legal representation, compared to 16% nationwide. The largest share of her caseload came from China, 40%, followed by India, 10%, almost 11%, Bangladesh, Nepal, and El Salvador. And it says, honest question, if she can be fired by the DOJ, why can't others that are abusing the laws? Are we sure this isn't a man? I'm just asking. So the problem isn't activist judges. It's a system that rewards gaming asylum laws. Judge Gordon Urakapa's 96.5% approval rate track data for asylum claims, when DHS estimates only 5% of cases are legitimate, proves the loophole exploitation. This isn't compassion, it's a factory line for fraudulent claims that drowns courts in 3.6 million backlogged cases. The administration's move to replace judges who treat asylum like a rubber stamp lottery is long overdue. Sovereignty requires enforcing standards, not letting 90% approval rates mock the rule of law. When courts become border loophole enablers, you don't fix it with more judges. You fix it with judges who grasp that citizenship isn't a participation trophy. If done right, it reinforces every aspect of country and growth. Taxes done right. There is such a thing. Yeah. Would be. Maybe. Here's the story. DOJ axed New York judge who handed out more asylum claims 97% of the time. Love to see her books. Bet she's being compensated in some way. It seems like she was working other jobs, so she was probably getting paid through some legal society, something like that. Justice Department has axed. Well, they axed her what? Would they ask her a question? Who fired her? I'm not sure. Why don't people push the like button? I don't get it. It's free. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, some people just forget. Other people, maybe they don't like the show. I mean, it's possible. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Maybe they just don't like it. Possibly. So, Judge Vivian Gordon Urakapa, who ruled in favor of asylum claimants 97% of the time, more than any of her colleagues in the state, was terminated without public notice back in September because of her prolific records of asylum rulings, according to government officials. So this happened in September. I wonder why we didn't hear about it then. Uroka no more appears on the website of the downtown Manhattan courthouse where she used to serve. That might be a man. Maybe that's why he got appointed. Might be a man. I don't know. The DOJ would only say the site is up to date. Rokapa was featured in a story last week about how migrants roll the dice when making immigration claims with judges they draw by chance having major influence on whether they get to stay here. Officials were coy about her status at the time. Well, sorry, I forgot to push them out. That's okay. Nanny Goat said they gave their tribute to the YouTube gods. Her departure appears to be part of a massive culling of the most lenient judges. Attorney General Pam Bondi gets to hire and fire immigration court judges. Lawyers don't enjoy the lifetime tenure perks that many other federal judges do. Urokapa, 66, attended Fordham in the Bronx and Howard University Law. Her background is in legal aid and criminal defense. Trump has fired more than 100 immigration judges during his term as the deportation rates grow, while the administration has managed to slash illegal entry into the country at the borders. Well, that's great. Nearly 80% of migrants seeking asylum were deported in the last quarter, according to the Syracuse University Track Program, TRAC. She granted 97% of cases at a time. When the cases came before her, she was fired in September. Yes, C. Bondi is doing some things. Yes, she is. We're actually going to talk about Pam Bondi. I have a whole article about how Pam Bondi is doing good things. We'll read it. We'll discuss it. The toughest New York judge on asylum, John Burns, got named acting assistant chief judge in January. Justice Department declined to comment on the reason that Urakapa was fired, probably because she wasn't following the law. I mean, if she was approving 97% of the claims, she wasn't following the law, so she wasn't doing her job faithfully. So there's that. And then there's this story, which I found was just insane, man. This is a case. This next story is proof that we are living in some states in this country. There is a narco tyranny. All right, it is a narco tyranny where the government is doing things and allowing anarchy to reign, and then being tyrannical with the people. I guess assuming stuff was 100%, but there is variables like crime, people being honest, etc. I don't know. After a 48-hour delay, a judge has officially authorized Prince George's County to evict residents of the Marylander condominiums. All right, it's just like, wow, with the residents, why would they have to evict residents? And this is in, Prince George's County is in Maryland. Hundreds of people will now become homeless due to the county's failure to clear a homeless encampment. Yes, the county didn't clear a homeless encampment. The homeless people were destroying the property that was across the street from the encampment, and the people that lived there were told they have to fix it. The court order was posted on the affected building half an hour ago. Story is forthcoming. This is order of injunction to enforce. The properties are in violation. Collectively, all these addresses tell them they got to get out. All right. The full story is here. Mike Cernovich says that this story is unbelievable, even by demon rat standards. Local officials allowed druggies to set up camps near an apartment. The druggies trashed the place. The city told the renters to fix the property or else face eviction. The city is evicting the tenants, not the druggies. What's it say? Your Octocasma says, at first I just thought you were an opportunist. You're doing the good work for humanity. Thank you, sir. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And with that, we are now $95 away from the first additional hour of the show and $45 away from Bellavision. Yes. So here's the story. All right. We feel trapped. Maryland judge authorizes eviction of Prince George's condo residents besieged by a homeless encampment. Jerk culture rules. Thank you very much, Dr. Casbar. Yes, thank you. Thank you for being a friend. It's sad that the county wants to protect the homeless and support them, but at the same time make law-abiding people homeless, said one man whose family has owned a unit at the Maryland condominiums for more than 40 years. Like, how do you get evicted from a place you own? A judge has authorized police to begin evicting residents of the Prince George's County condominium complex besieged by an open-air drug market, putting hundreds of people at risk of homelessness ahead of a possible winter storm. We got some interesting stories about the winter storm, too, let me just tell you. Maryland District Court Judge Brian Bariano has provisionally greenlit the Marylander condominiums evictions earlier this month after vagrants allegedly vandalized the condo's boiler room, leaving 100 units without heat. I mean, it's crazy, right? Like, the vagrants damaged the boiler so they don't have heat, and so they're going to evict the people that don't have heat. Like, hello? Forgiving and not greed matters. Law is all variables cause the perfect thing, right? I don't know what you mean. I'm confused. They label them as nuisance properties. Yes. Evict the owners. That's what it sounds like. Must be apartments. Condos would not have a common boiler. That's not 100% true. Large buildings will have a common boiler. If it's a large enough building, it'll have a common boiler. There's tons of condos in New York that have common boilers. In Chicago, cities, it happens all the time. Yeah, they'll have like common hot water, one huge hot water boiler for multiple floors. It's part of it comes out of your like HOA dues or whatever you want to call it. Your condo assessment dues, condo fees. Well, what am I hearing about the storm? We're going to talk about the storm. I got a story about the storm. We'll talk about the storm. Send up the heat. Yeah. On Thursday, he signed a final order authorizing all action necessary to vacate those units, which were deemed unfit for human habitation by the county's Department of Permitting, Inspections, and Enforcement in December. Yeah, since when are renters responsible for repairs? Yeah, well, it's not clear when the evictions will take place. The judge's order was posted on the affected building Friday afternoon. County officials did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Ordered as of February 5th, respondents shall institute a fire watch on all portions of the subject properties impacted by the temporary electrical feeders, including not limited to buildings that have been connected to the feeders and or land that is traversed by those feeders or said components. The fire watch shall occur from dusk to dawn every day and shall comply with all respects with the procedures promulgated by the Fire EMS Department and their guidelines. Fire watch will remain in place. I mean, there's a ton. Yeah, it's a bad winter, dudes. Yeah, it's winter. This is going to be. Kind of knew this was going to be a bad winter from looking at all like different stuff in the past. It said we were going to have a winter along the lines of like 67 or 79. So, on or before February 19th, respondents shall ensure that all dwelling units with the subject that are furnished with heat sufficient to maintain a temperature of not less than 70 degrees. The order marks the latest setback for the embattled condominium, which for years has been fending off incursions from a homeless encampment on its doorstep. Alberta has been amazing, though, less than last week. Vacate, not evictions due to inhabitable conditions. I had a condo in Atlanta that had a boiler. It has many issues. Yeah. I mean, it could be the way to get them, because it's not like eviction notice. It's not an eviction. It's to vacate the premise, like to throw them out. It's a lot easier for them to say it's to condemn a building. The government's long done shit like that when they want to take something over. They'll condemn it and kick the people out. So the encampment, a haven for gangs, drugs, and prostitutes, has vaporized property values and caused millions in damage, scaring away the banks needed to finance the repairs. Now residents say they're about to become homeless thanks to a homelessness crisis that the county tolerated. It's sad that the county wants to protect the homeless and support them, but at the same time make law-abiding people homeless. It says Scott Barber, whose mother Linda has owned her unit at the Marylander for more than 40 years. He added that his family can't sell the unit given the squalid conditions of the complex. We feel trapped. Beverly Habata, a member of the condominium's board, says as many of the 77 children could become homeless as a result of the judge's order. I counted them coming home from school on the school buses on Wednesday. They were getting off the buses and walking home to the condo complex. Habata said she was later asked by a school board member whether the county should start making plans for an influx of homeless students. Prince George's counties could receive several inches of snow on Sunday if current forecasts hold. It's not clear how the weather will affect the timeline for the evictions. I guess that's the story. So what do we think about that, huh? That's pretty, well, it's natural gas up there. Well, there's a lot of places that use natural gas to heat the boilers, instead of like, now, it depends on who you talk to. Some people say that like radiators, with a boiler and having a radiator and like not either steam or steam is more dangerous than just hot water, like not boiling, but like 150, 160 degree water circulating through. It's not as dangerous as steam, but they say it's more efficient for heating wise. It's more fuel efficient because you heat the water and the water stays warm. You circulate it and it comes back, as opposed to like the forced air, like a regular furnace with forced air furnace. You lose a lot of efficiency because you get a lot of heat just escaping out the chimney. Well, here is something to consider: is if prayers, who then is assuming heaven is destroyed? Own her 40 years and she's out. Yeah. Because no, it's not. Yeah. So here, I don't know. I mean, somebody needs to step in and do something about that. Now, everybody likes to bag on Pam Bondi. Even I do, because I'm always like, what is she doing? What's going on with Pam Bondi? Why isn't she getting more stuff done? But this is from Bill Shipley is his name. He's a lawyer. He worked in lossless systems have yet to be engineered for the common folk. Yeah, I know. But I think like, believe it or not, like electric works good for like for heated floors and stuff like that. But it's very expensive because electricity rates went through the roof. Also, but heated floors, like if you have a house that has heated floors, like I knew they had like up in Chicago, they had their basement floor had a boiler that heated the floors, and then the heat just radiated up from the basement up to the house, and they had it was awesome. And it's not the same. Like a lot of people get problems because with your furnace going, if you have a forced air furnace, it dries everything out. It lowers the humidity. It's actually like a lot of houses. The wood starts drying out. You get more cracking, more issues with your wood and stuff like that because your humidity gets too low. So to keep your house and everything working the way it's built correctly, you have to keep a humidity like a certain, glycol lines. I mean, when I say water, but it's like glycol. They heat it up. That way it doesn't freeze if anything goes wrong. But Shipley is going to talk us about the astonishing successes of the AG Bondi-led DOJ in the first year of Trump 2.0. It says many big swings and a radical remaking the legal governmental landscape have produced earth-shaking results that redefine the relationship between the office of the executive and the bureaucracy. So this is a reader-supported publication. I am a subscriber, so I'm going to read it. First rule of political accountability is the person who gets blamed for disappointments is entitled to credit for successes when they come from the same legal mosh pit. The ranchers in Alberta are showing off. 9 days into Trump's 2.0, I wrote here an article captioned Chaos at the DOJ in the first week of Trump administration. The article addressed widespread press reports of large-scale resignations and firings in various components and offices that comprise the DOJ, from main justice litigating sections to the 94 U.S. attorneys' offices across the country. Only licensed attorneys who pass key background checks are employees of the Department of Justice are permitted by federal court rules to make appearances on behalf of the United States pursuant to the authority delegated to them by either the Attorney General or the U.S. Attorney for whom they work. As a general matter, attorneys from other departments of the executive branch are not allowed to make such appearances or advance arguments on behalf of the federal government in federal courts. So much money there, man. Here, man, relatively, I guess. Yeah, there's a lot of money in Alberta. When President Trump was inaugurated, the same number of court cases where the United States was a plaintiff or defendant existed as was true during the final moments of the Biden administration. But mass resignations from various parts of the Department of Justice had been ongoing for weeks as the Biden-Obama DOJ veterans were not interested in remaining in the DOJ that was certain to shift its enforcement priorities. Nowhere was this dramatic churning of work more evident than the Civil Rights Division. Yes. Radiant heat floors are great. 3 degrees outside, 70-degree air, 86-degree floor here right now. Yeah. Texaco built the foundations of the oil here in the 20s. That's awesome. A lot of, like, the two main people that built, I shouldn't say people, well, I could say J.P. Morgan, and Rockefeller, basically, and there's a few other people. But, BP, British Petroleum, and, like, Texaco, they built a lot of the infrastructure around the world for oil. So Harmeet Dillon, the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, has publicly discussed the combination of resignations and terminations at the start of Trump 2.0, reduced manpower in her division by approximately 2/3, from more than 400 to less than 150. But she had the same number of cases and investigations as did her Biden predecessor, along with a new slate of new priorities for her division to pursue with new investigations and initiatives to be launched. Yeah, BP built a lot of stuff in Saudi Arabia. I said around the world. BP built a lot of stuff in Saudi Arabia and Iran. I think BP was in Iran too. I think British Petroleum. It might have been called something else. I'm not 100% sure. It might have been called Aramco or something like that. Was some Aramco or something. I thought it was more Texas than British Development. No, there was the Middle East was controlled. The Middle East was pretty much controlled by Britain and France, basically, before World War II. Yeah, I know what you're getting at. Okay, yeah. British controlled a lot of the Middle East prior to World War II. Yeah. So the pattern repeated itself across nearly every litigating component of the DOJ. My best recollection is that at full staffing, DOJ has in the neighborhood of 7,000 attorneys. Wow. Oh, Jet Trinity Powers wants to talk about Anunnaki and space aliens and stuff. Thank you for bringing me out. No problem. Buddy, I like talking to Jet. What is the Belt of Truth? I don't know, man. I think I'll watch There Will Be Blood soon. Oh, it's a great movie. It's a great movie. There Will Be Blood. It's a great movie. I'll drink your milkshake. So, So he's talking about something don't want us to know. I think Egypt is like a link to, in theory, outside of the earth. Yeah, I think like my personal opinion on Egypt is that the Egyptians, like, they did not build the pyramids or the Sphinx. There was some civilization of some other peoples. The people that were before the Egyptians built that stuff. Oh man, I've been waiting for Ancient Alien Jim to come back. He never left. So yeah, so there used to be 7,000 attorneys and courts, 4,000 in U.S. Attorney's Office, another 3,000 in Main Justice. There are a few hundred others who deal primarily in policy matters and intergovernmental relationships. Not only did the Bondi DOJ face the task of continuing representation at thousands of civil and criminal cases already pending on day one, they did so with dramatically reduced workforce where replacements take months to bring on board. But before that process could even begin, new mid-level supervisors had to be identified and appointed. They were to be in charge of the hiring process, so hiring the people who were going to be responsible for the hiring was necessary before the staffing levels could begin to build back up. Yeah, Rockefeller and Standard Oil, yeah. Aliens are known for their sharp razors. And I think Egypt was before a war of like Atlantis. I don't know if I believe the war stuff. I don't know if like there's a story about that it was like Lemuria, and Atlantis fighting a war, and then that could be was. I mean, you got all the stuff in the Hindu. What is it? The Baba Rama or the Hindu text about. Basically, like talking about like basically nuclear war, and then there's evidence of stuff that they say looks like the nuclear explosions, certain places that they're testing things, and the sea peoples. Yeah, the sea peoples were the Atlanteans. I believe Atlantis existed. I believe it's written in Egypt. It's written in Greece. I believe Atlantis existed. So that's my opinion. They were to be in charge. Yeah. So, the turnover was unprecedented. During my time with DOJ, I personally went through 3 different transitions of the White House from one party to the other. G.H.W. Bush to Clinton, Clinton to G.W. Bush, and G.W. Bush to Obama. In each instance, there was a small turnover in personnel, 10 to 15% maybe, that you could attribute to anticipated changes in enforcement priorities, but nothing like what happened 1 year ago. And the Athenians saved Egypt. Okay. In addition to putting in place mid-level management in various positions to begin steering DOJ on a new course, Trump 2.0 had to nominate for Senate confirmation approximately 25 positions in DOJ, not including the 93 U.S. attorneys. Only a small handful of these 25 positions were filled in the first several months after the inauguration. Yeah, that's the Senate holding that shit up. The number 3 position at the DOJ, the Associate Attorney General, was not confirmed by the Senate until September of 2025. Which is weird because Stargate Atlantis. I don't know. I mean, did you heard the stories about the maze that they've identified underneath Egypt? This like multi-level maze that has some giant metal object that looks like a Stargate or something that they found with radar and stuff. I don't want to get off into that, but I am very fascinated by that stuff. I'm very into it. The Office of Oversight, Supervision of Civil Rights, including all civil appeals, Civil Rights Division, Antitrust, Tax Division. A very large amount of ongoing civil litigation against the new Trump policies is happening in these divisions, not in the criminal and national security divisions. Text. Cheers. Okay. Do it house the J lasers? Maybe. Egypt has a deeper history. I believe so. Susanna Hoffs. Walk like an Egyptian. Do, 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 do. That was the Bengals, right? Cheers, bud. The point is, A.G. Bondi, almost since her first day in office, has been accomplishing what she has accomplished with a vastly depleted staff of courtroom litigators, nearly all of whom she inherited from the Biden administration. Many of the most partisan actors from the prior administration, including nearly all the leadership positions, departed prior to or just after the inauguration. Yes. Why have a GOP Senate? They are worthless getting people appointed. Yes, I agree. Getting the DOJ fully staffed with both line attorneys and managers committed to pursuing the policy agenda of Trump 2.0 takes time. Carmichael says, I've been rewatching the Stargate series. It's great. I like the movie. I really do. This manpower and leadership problem was then married to the aggressive use of executive orders in the first few weeks and months of the administration to bring about immediate changes to the executive branch. Dude, the story behind the Bengals Manic Monday. You'll love this deep dive. Oh, I'll look into it. I will look into it. The response of the liberal progressive administrative state and the NGO network that lived off the government funding was immediate. In 13 months, there have been literally hundreds of lawsuits filed by leftist communist interest groups in an effort to blunt the onslaught to the Trump administration policy changes, many of which were intended to undermine or halt altogether the policy agendas that were responsible for growth in the administrative state and the NGO network. Yes. And nationwide injunctions. Among the very first executive orders signed by President Trump on January 20th, titled Protecting the Meaning and Value of American Citizenship. Oh, Prince wrote it for the Bengals trying to sleep with Susanna Hoff. Really? Even paranoid people have enemies? Yes. Especially paranoid people. That's why they're paranoid. So, denying citizenship documentation to U.S.-born children whose parents are neither citizens nor lawful permanent residents in the United States. Lawsuits challenging the EO were filed in multiple courts on January 21st, and the EO was subject to nationwide temporary restraining orders and preliminary injunctions almost immediately. Casa v. Trump. Apparently, it was from a mass murderer claiming it was a manic Monday. Then the Bengals made a song about it. Oh, my God. That's crazy. Susanna Hoffs is still hot AF. In one of those cases that was heard by the Supreme Court on limited question of whether the district judges had the authority to grant nationwide injunctions are the very outset of a case. The Casa case eventually became one of Bondi's biggest victories when the Supreme Court started down the path of limiting the use of nationwide injunctions. As was suggested by Justice Alito, however, district judges have turned increasingly toward nationwide class actions and then impose class-wide injunctive relief, which ends up in much the same place. But there are ways for the DOJ to challenge class determinations and requests for class-wide relief that were not available with regard to nationwide injunctions based on a claim of a single plaintiff. Son of Sam psychology, perhaps, maybe. A second area of immediate concern was cutting off the flow of funds to the worldwide network of non-government organizations. By terminating grants and contracts awarded to such groups by the Biden administration. Among the very first target was any grant or contract that funded DEI initiatives or projects across the entirety of government. While symbolic and not involving massive expenditures of funds in the same manner as other federally funded progressive initiatives, DEI programs were the training ground and financial support network for progressive communist interest groups where Democrats are out of power, when Democrats are out of power. Yes. That's like the song In the Air Tonight being written about Phil Collins watch a man drown. Well, if Phil Collins watch a man drown, didn't Phil Collins also watch a man drown? Just saying. If you found the Egyptian Chronicles, that would be the biggest thing ever. When in that song, all he should have done was help. Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. Could be. Numerous lawsuits were filed as soon as funding was suspended for the DEI grants and programs. Communist groups challenged the suspensions and later terminations on the basis that the groups funded would likely cease to function without the funds. Well, yeah. With workers being laid off and programs ended due to lack of funding. Biden and Obama appointees at the district court level rushed in to grant TROs and preliminary injunctions, ordered continued funding while lawsuits were pending. Two favorite courts for these lawsuits were the districts of Massachusetts and Maryland. Of the 21 full-time active judges in those two courts, 20 were appointed by Obama and Biden. So 20 out of 21 judges in Massachusetts and Maryland were appointed by Obama and Biden. Now you know why they kept going to Massachusetts and Maryland. You know, Judge Zinnis. Yeah. On April 4th, the Department of Education for California, the Supreme Court issued a stay of an order by a Massachusetts judge that attempted to stop the administration from terminating certain education-related grants to states that funded DEI programs. The court did so on the basis that DOJ would likely prevail on the issue that such lawsuits had to be brought in the Court of Federal Claims and not the U.S. district courts. And the fact that entities reliant on this funding might cease operations while the lawsuits were pending was not a basis to order the government to continue such funding. A second win on the issue was August 21st, 2025 in NIH versus American Public Health Association, where the court held 5-4 that the NIH could terminate nearly 800 million grants linked to DEI. One of the EOs involved in a particular lawsuit targeted research funding gender ideology extremism. with all the story distractions, Jim never loses his train of thought. I'm used to having multiple things going on at the same time. So the court held the district courts lacked jurisdiction to entertain such lawsuits over grant terminations and therefore could not enter injunctions stopping such terminations, as all suits seeking recovery of funds from the federal government based on contractual claims must be filed in the Court of Federal Claims. These two cases have had impact on the lower courts now. 2 weeks ago, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, the National Association of Diversity Officers in Higher Education versus Trump, this case was filed in the District of Maryland, where the communist Biden appointee confirmed only 2 months before the 2024 election issued a preliminary injunction preventing the administration from terminating the DEI grants. It's just another manic Monday. Oh, I wish it was Sunday. Oh. Now I got that song stuck in my head. Thanks. And they were going to basis that they would violate the plaintiff's constitutional rights. What? On February 6th, the Fourth Circuit vacated the injunction on the basis the plaintiffs were unlikely to prevail on the merits and remanded the case for further proceeding. This allows the grant terminations to go forward. These are DEI-specific grants, but the administration has won a series of other cases involving grant and contract funding terminations on similar grounds. The claimants must bring their lawsuits in the Court of Federal Claims and cannot rely on friendly district judges in courts in Baltimore, Boston, San Francisco, and Seattle to secure preliminary relief to keep the money rolling while they seek to tie up the DOJ in court. Those 4 specific districts have combined a total of 44 district judges. There are currently 2 vacancies on those 4 courts. Of the full-time active judges, 42 of them were all appointed by Clinton, Obama, or Biden. It's amazing, right? These these districts that are solid blue districts are all, because what happens is anybody that a Republican tries to appoint to those districts doesn't get the blue slip, so they can't get in. This is the blue slip problem. And what the GOP and the Senate GOP needs to start doing, but they won't because they're a bunch of pussies, is they need to start whenever a Democrat president tries to appoint one of their crazy progressive judges to like a Florida district or somewhere that has 2 or even 1 Republican senator. They need to refuse to give them the blue slip and see what happens. Dude, it's more demonic than I thought growing up with it while listening to it while my mother cleaned. Wow. Has there ever been a government grant that went to a conservative group? I don't think so. Not many. When they had the IRS that was targeting, remember under Obama, they were targeting all the conservative groups, trying to taking away their tax-exempt status. And notice how people try to say up is down, down is up. It can't be. The word says up, so it's up. Yeah. Overturning Humphrey's executor. A third area where AG Bondi led the DOJ has earned significant legal victories has been in bringing independent executive branch agencies under the supervision of the Office of the President. You wonder if the journalist is related to Bondi, or did Bondi pay him to write this article? No, this is not a journalist. This is a lawyer who worked for 20-something years for the DOJ and left under Obama, I believe. Left under Obama when Obama was in, and then started working as a defense attorney. This guy represented like 60 or 70 January 6th defendants. So, he's not a, whatever you want to call it. He's not a fucking establishment hack dude, in my opinion. So this is an issue that goes back to the New Deal and the Supreme Court's decision on Humphrey's executor via the United States, where the court held that the Congress could place limits via legislation on the ability of the president to remove executive officials of independent agencies that exercise certain powers beyond executive powers. There is no such thing as independent agencies. That's the first problem. It's the federal government. We only have 3 branches of federal government. The agency has to be in one of those 3 branches to be in the federal government. It just has to be. That's the way the Constitution works. For more than 90 years, this decision has been the subject of criticism on the basis that such officials also wield executive power. And by express terms of the Constitution, all executive power is vested in the president. All executive power is vested in the president. Yes, back to FDR, the Marxist. Yes. The argument, which is about to carry the day in the Supreme Court, is that a president should not have other executive branch officials wielding power that belongs to him without the authority to terminate such officials if they wield such power in a manner contrary to the policies adopted by the president upon taking office. What about the Fed? They aren't in any branch. That's the thing about the Fed. Is the Fed legal? Because it's supposedly not. Supposedly not in any branch of government. They claim it's a pseudo legislative, pseudo judicial, pseudo executive. It's a mix of all three because the Fed sets their own rules, they set their own rates, but it was created by the federal government. And like it has to be in a branch of government. It should be in the executive branch. So we'll see what happens. Love Trump sometimes, but not all the time. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes he does stuff I don't like. The I push stuff don't seem like it would show anything, but it does. Imaginary fourth branch of government, no independent entities allowed. Yeah. President Trump terminated several such officials from several different executive agencies who were subject to statutory language that protected them from termination without cause. District judges, mostly in D.C., granted injunctive relief, ordering these officials to remain in their positions while they challenged the president's ability to fire them. Various appellate decisions reversed those injunctions, and last fall, the Supreme Court took up the case of Trump v. Slaughter. Before the D.C. Circuit could hear the case, Slaughter involves the termination of a member of the Federal Trade Commission, the very same agency at issue in Humphrey's executor. The court heard oral arguments in December, and the decision can come at any time. Based on the argument, it's widely anticipated that the termination will be upheld and Humphrey's executor will finally be reversed. And then deportation of illegals, refugees, TPS, and expedited removal. Maybe the most contentious area of litigation brought by the communists has involved the wide-ranging efforts by the Trump administration to address the presence of as many as, he says 25 million illegals. No, it's 75 million illegals, dude. It's 75. How could over 20 million came in under Biden, and we were told it was 11 million when Obama came into office, which was a fucking lie. So there's like 70 million illegals in the country. Rocket Casmo says, I would like to see a political system in which it's purely logical and not privy to daytime Maury level understanding. Oh, me too. Yes. But the problem with that, though, is that you need to have it needs to be regular people running the government in charge of stuff. That way, regular people should be able to understand it. You don't want like experts like, oh, what the experts said, because we went through that with the whole COVID thing with experts. Experts say this, experts say this. All of the law termers I watched say Humphrey's executor is a flawed decision. Yes. It was bad law at the time, and it was bad law that was enacted at a time when FDR was threatening the Supreme Court. He was threatening to stack the Supreme Court because they were ruling against him. And so they started ruling for him. Yeah. A significant number of whom came in response to the open borders policy of the Biden administration. They know 20 million came under Biden, so there's no fucking way it's only 25. This effort has likely tied up more DOJ attorneys' time than any other change in policy brought by Trump 2.0. The entire DOJ immigration enforcement apparatus has been turned around 180 degrees from a permissive approach that brought millions of illegals into the United States from around the world with the Biden DOJ, aimed mostly at creating pathways for such entrance. The Biden administration expanded refugee programs, asylum applications, TPS designations, and redesignations to allow massive numbers of illegals to enter the country with almost no fear of being turned back at the border. The initial efforts by the DHS DOJ was to cut off new arrivals at the border and turn them around prior to them entering the U.S. immigration system. Within months, if not weeks, the effort was largely successful, and the flow of illegal aliens into the United States from around the world was largely stopped. It was a coup that ended in a coup that failed another attempted coup. I'm going to concede right now that it's beyond my capacity in this article to describe the numerous efforts in numerous courts to undermine the DOJ, DHS efforts to remove aliens. Immigration rights and other communist policy advocate groups have filed lawsuits all over the country. seeking, and in almost all instances, obtaining briefly injunctive relief that keeps illegal aliens in the country in opposition to Trump 2.0 efforts to remove them. Oh, this content is so much more approachable than the comic book shit. Oh, well, I do like comic books. It's not something I want to talk about really. When Obama was in office, there were talks about as high as 42 million in the country. That's why we had to pass Obamacare. Yeah, good for you, bud. Love you. Well, thank you. There has been a long-running battle between the Bondi-led DOJ, and a district judge in Seattle to pause and reevaluate decisions allowing refugee admissions authorized by the Biden administration. There is a statute by which the president each year sets a maximum number of refugee admissions for the upcoming fiscal year. The Biden administration had set this number at 125,000 each year after Trump 1.0 had reduced the number significantly. Trump 2.0 has cut the number again, sought to terminate grant funding for NGOs who did nothing but refugee resettlement work funded by U.S. taxpayers, and otherwise sought to take a second look at the refugee admission decisions made by the Biden administration. What aliens are they talking about, though? Illegals? Yeah, maybe. Could be. No effort has been made so far to remove refugees already in the country lawfully. The focus has been on slowing the pace in order to examine what the Biden administration was doing in the process. Let's see. Racist opportunists with no artistic value. I don't know who you talking about in particular. Started late, ran at 1.75 to catch us. So much weird, nauseating shit happening. Yes, it is Gundam Zig. A lot of weird. You'll be back on point. I mean, who are you talking about? Oh, that guy? Yeah. You know what? I bought comic books from that guy. I don't know. I mean, I just wish people could get along. That's all. The district judge in Seattle has repeatedly entered injunctive relief and other orders to frustrate the Bondi DOJ efforts to carry out new policy, but the Bondi DOJ has been successful in overturning or significantly limiting what the judge has attempted to do. A second area of emphasis has been the ending of temporary protective status. For a dozen or more countries around the world, a TPS designation of a country allows aliens from the country in the United States, legally and illegally, to remain in the United States until the status is changed. TPS has to be revisited at least every 18 months by the Attorney General and the DHS Secretary, at which time a decision must be made to end TPS or extend it by a period of 6 to 12 or 18 months. But it seems that in practice, there is nothing temporary about temporary protected status. Yes, it's been crazy. Oh, you started your whole thing about him, right? I like this content way better. No, my whole content wasn't started. I talked to other people about other stuff, and I was on other shows before that. That just came up about, something else, like a different thing, and I was on another show talking about it. But and it was all because of just that guy couldn't take any criticism when you asked him questions about stuff. He just wigged out and blocked you and did all stuff. That's all. And nothing better. But I wish him the best. I hope he has. I heard he just became a father, and he's got a bunch of, new books coming out. And I wish him the best. I wish him all the best. I hope does great, and he makes $1 million. He already made more than $1 million. Makes $10 million. But it seems that in practice, there's nothing temporary about TPS. Somalia has been under TPS for over 30 years, to the extent that more than half of the persons of Somali heritage in the U.S. were actually born in the U.S. and not Somalia. Haiti, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Venezuela, and many other countries have been under TPS status for a decade or more. Secretary No of DHS has taken preliminary steps with respect to most of these countries to end TPS, but district judges in various parts of the country have found errors in her efforts to date and entered orders either blocking the termination or vacating the determination she's already made. The result is that millions of illegal aliens who would otherwise be subject to immediate deportation to their countries all around the world are protected from such deportation. These judges cannot give these illegals any status that is lawful. They are simply seeking to allow their continued presence in the country while their political gears grind on to provide them a basis to remain legally. One particular judge in San Francisco, Judge Edwin Chen, has engaged in a running battle with DHS going back to March 2025 with his efforts to prevent ending TPS for Venezuelans and Haitians in the U.S. illegally. Finally, for more than 30 years, there has been a policy of the DOJ to treat illegal aliens in the interior of the country differently than illegal aliens encountered by authorities within 100 miles of the border. Congress created the expedited removal process for a limited class of illegal aliens. This process does not involve full-blown Section 240 removal proceedings created by the INS Act. It is a streamlined process that DHS can use to deport aliens who have been in the country less than 2 years and enter without being inspected at a border crossing. The only facts DHS needs to determine in order to employ the expedited removal process is that the person was not born in the United States, the person did not cross into the United States at a border crossing where they were inspected by an immigration officer, and the person has been in the United States less than 2 years. If those facts are true, the illegal alien can be removed without having a hearing before an immigration judge. By policy, previous administrations have limited the application of expedited removal to persons who were arrested and detained within 100 miles of the border. If a person managed to make it farther into the country, DOJ and DHS gave that person a full-blown Section 240 immigration court proceeding as part of the process for removing them. This was not required by the statute, but it was a policy choice made by various presidential administrations. Trump 2.0 eliminated the 100-mile limitation. The DOJ and DHS began using expedited removal for any illegal alien taken into custody who has been in the United States less than 2 years. Good. The change was necessitated by the radical efforts of the Biden administration to send illegal aliens deeper into the country rather than have them remain in communities along the southwest border. Blue cities across the country became the destinations for millions and millions of illegal aliens allowed in by the Biden administration. To remove those illegal aliens, the Biden DOJ and DHS are having to make arrests throughout the interior of the country, far beyond the 100-mile limit. What's going on here? Sorry, 1 second. Sorry. To remove those aliens, they have to make arrests throughout the interior of the country, far beyond the limit. By eliminating that self-imposed restriction, the Bondi DOJ and DHS can make use of expedited removal with regard to a far larger number of illegal aliens it encounters throughout the country, not just those who remain within 100 miles of the border. But in Make the Road, New York versus Known, an immigrant rights group sued the administration in the District of Columbia and obtained an injunction against the use of expedited removal expressly created by Congress for any illegal alien taken into custody more than 100 miles from the border. The administration appealed that injunction to D.C. Court of Appeals, which heard oral arguments December 9th. The panel for the case is very administrative friendly, but if that court rules against the administration, I expect that case to immediately be appealed to the Supreme Court. The above three examples reflect some of the most significant efforts by the Bondi DOJ and DHS to substantially increase the number of involuntary removals of illegal aliens that can be accomplished yearly. A couple of odd stories slipped in today, but don't want to derail. Well, I've got a whole bunch of stuff lined up, Gundams, but if it's something important and good, I'll talk about it. Getting these processes ramped up and running at full speed has been an ongoing process that immigrant rights and other communist interest groups have fought at every stage. If the Bondi DOJ prevails, as it has in just about every respect to date, the number of removals will easily increase into the millions each year. This will then combine with increased voluntary deports by illegal aliens who seek to avoid getting caught up in the processes they are almost certainly destined to lose. They're being offered like $3 or $4 grand plus a free plane ticket. Why wouldn't they just go home? That's where you belong, in your home. Why, are you too good for your home? Little Billy Madison, not Bill, I'm sorry, Happy Gilmore. There are probably 6 to 10 other highly consequential areas of pitched litigation fights between Bondi-led DOJ and a communist establishment that is determined to not let Trump dismantle what they have built up over the past 50 years in Washington. Downsizing the federal workforce is another area where there's been significant progress. Thought it had turned out that doing so by attrition was more effective than anticipated, so less outright rifts of workers were needed. The dismantling of USAID and the collapsing of the network of international NGOs funded by the U.S. taxpayer dollars is another area that was fought over in the courts, with the DOJ prevailing. Canceling billions of dollars of spending on Green New Deal programs and making those cancellations stand up in court is another area of great success. The list could go on. There are consequential legal fights that will last years and decades beyond 2028 because they are reshaping the federal government and the way it works. At the same time, the ordinary day-to-day work of the DOJ litigators in courtrooms in 94 federal judicial districts continues day after day. The DOJ has managed to do what the DOJ has managed to do under the circumstances of the past 13 months is nothing short of remarkable. In addition to carrying on the work it inherited, it has had to advance and defend radical changes to the way the executive branch operates in the face of hundreds of lawsuits brought mostly for the purpose of just throwing sand in the gears driving those changes. As DOJ has done with this, maybe 50 to 60% of the staffing DOJ has done this with maybe 50 to 60% of the staffing DOJ normally has, is remarkable. So, what do you guys think about that? Does that make you think any different about Blondie, or do you think that maybe she's not the reason, that there's people below her, maybe other people below her that are responsible for all these actions? I mean, I think the stuff going on at the Civil Rights Division is all Harmeet Dillon. And I think there's other people that are lower, like U.S. deputy attorney generals and stuff like that might be doing all this stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's all Pam Bondi. But I don't know how she has time when she's on Fox News all the time. All right, on to the next story. J.P. Morgan admits it shut down President Trump's bank accounts after January 6th Capitol attack. The nation's largest bank, in response to a lawsuit filed by the president, confirmed his long-standing complaint about debanking. Per the New York Times, for years, President Trump has complained that his personal and business bank accounts were deliberately closed after the January 6th attack on the Capitol. J.P. Morgan Chase is now admitting that did happen. It took J.P. Morgan long enough to admit it. Sunshine says, nope, Bonnie stinks and need to go. All right. Hey, McReekins, how's it going? Happy Saturday, Jim. Just made it here now. You're sounding great tonight. I'm going to go back and listen from the beginning. Well, thank you for being here. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Yes. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. JP Morgan admits it shut down Trump's accounts. Bombshell report. We won't read the New York Times. We'll read the New York Post. JP Morgan admits it shuttered Trump's accounts following January 6th Capitol attack. What's this say? Well, let's hear this. Trump touts affordability. Let's see. This is the kind of off topic of what we were talking about, but it sounds like something I want. Trump touts affordability win in midterm campaign event. Let's see.
President Trump was back on the midterm campaign trail Thursday with a stop in a key swing state, Georgia. And as we've all come to expect, the president had a lot to say. Speaking from the Coosa steel plant in Rome, Georgia, the president touted his record on tariffs. And he was visibly angry that he has to wait for the Supreme Court to rule on whether or not they're constitutional. Plus, he took a victory lap on affordability, saying this.
What word have you not heard over the last 2 weeks? Affordability. Because I've won affordability.
He went on to call Democrats' use of the issue a con job and listed all the things he says are now more affordable, including airfare, car payments, sporting events, and groceries. The president also slammed Democrats for blocking his voter ID law, accusing them of wanting to cheat in order to win elections like November's midterms all around the country. And speaking of the midterms, a pro-ICE ad campaign aimed at reminding Americans about, quote, dangerous illegal immigrants led into the country under the Biden administration will begin airing in key swing states, including Georgia, Michigan, and North Carolina, ahead of the president's State of the Union address next week. The ad is produced by the conservative nonprofit American Sovereignty. By now, you have no doubt heard that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was arrested in the UK Thursday for his association, but not how you think, with Jeffrey Epstein. Oh yeah, and it was his birthday. But how bad could all of this actually be for the United Kingdom? Bad, with a capital B. A former aide to one-time Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher says the Epstein scandal could bring down the entire British government as calls grow for Prime Minister Keir Starmer to step down for how he's handling it, or bungling it, as it were. Adding an Epstein associate into his government, probably not wise. The arrest of ex-Prince Andrew was a ground-shaking move. The disgraced former royal had already lost his title and his posh digs, and now cops have been searching his home on suspicion of misconduct in public office. When you hear crimes, Epstein, and Prince Andrew, I know where your head goes, but this isn't what you're thinking. Andrew allegedly forwarded confidential trade documents to the late pedophile. And this legal entanglement doesn't end with the former prince. His ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, could find herself at the wrong end of a police interrogation if she steps back on UK soil. It's widely believed that Epstein funded Fergie's lavish lifestyle, and authorities seemingly want to know more. Now, Fergie has been laying low after she was stripped of her royal title and got the boot from the palace along with her ex-husband, Prince Andrew. Yes, the exes lived together. Weird, but with these two, kind of par for the course. The Epstein files were not kind to Fergie. A slew of emails and messages released pathetically showed her begging for money from the wealthy creep and even requesting, and I quote, "just marry me." Now, to put all of this into some context, the last time a royal was arrested was 400 years ago, and that guy got beheaded.
Yeah, that was King Charles. I think it was treason, or they replaced him. It was the first King Charles. So that's crazy, right? So sorry about that. I just wanted to hear what they were talking about. So JP Morgan Chase acknowledged for the first time that it closed bank accounts of President Donald Trump and several of his businesses in the political and legal aftermath of the January 6th attacks on the U.S. Capitol. Wait, he was married to Fergie? Dang, I didn't know that. Prince Andrew was married to Fergie. Yeah. I didn't know this stuff about Epstein, so maybe that's weird. Like, what the fuck? What was going on there? The latest development in the legal saga over the controversial practice of debanking. The acknowledgement came in a court filing submitted this week in Trump's legal lawsuit against the bank and its leader, Jamie Dimon. The president sued for $5 billion, alleging that his accounts were closed for political reasons, disrupting his business operations. In February 2021, JP Morgan informed plaintiffs that certain accounts maintained by JP Morgan's CB and PB would be closed. Private bank and some commercial bank and private bank. JP Morgan's former chief administrative officer, Dan Wilkening, I wrote in a court filing, the PB and CB stands for private bank and commercial bank. See? I got that right. Until now, JP Morgan has never admitted it closed the president's accounts and would only speak hypothetically about when the bank closes accounts and its reasons for closing accounts. Emails and text messages to a spokesman for the bank were not returned. They're going to end up having to settle this case. This should be illegal. Banks should not be allowed to close your accounts because of your politics or whatever. They shouldn't be allowed to close your accounts for any reason that isn't in some way related to, like, you wrote bad checks or you did something wrong, like to the bank. They shouldn't be able to just close your accounts because they don't like you or they don't like what you said. Like, what's next? You say something on Twitter and a bank goes, "Ooh, this guy has a bank account with us. We're going to close his bank because we don't like what he said on Twitter, his bank account." This should be illegal. Really. So Trump originally sued JP Morgan in Florida State Court, where Trump's primary residence is now located. JP Morgan Chase is looking to have the case moved to New York, which is where the bank accounts were located and where Trump kept much of his business operations until recently. Yeah, see, they're going to want it moved to New York because they're going to get a better outcome in New York. But no. Yeah, who told them to close his accounts? That's the thing. Did someone tell them? Did it come from the Fed? Did it come from the Federal Reserve? Obama used that to go after gun dealers. Yes, he did. It was called Operation Choke Point. They used it to go after all types of gun accounts, like anybody who was selling guns. Like all the people were all legal. People who were federal firearms dealers, and they went and chased to get rid of bank accounts. That's why, like there's specifically, it's hard to get if you have a gun store or do any business in the firearm industry. It's hard to maintain credit card processing services. Like there's actually an FFL process server now, like that's processes like specifically for Fergie, the Royal Hermaphrodite. Oh, really? Yeah. Trump accuses the bank of trade libel and accuses Dimon himself of violating Florida's Unfair and Deceptive Trade Practices Act. In his original lawsuit, Trump alleges he tried to raise the issue personally with Dimon after the bank started to close his accounts, and that Dimon assured Trump he would figure out what was happening. The lawsuit alleges Diamond failed to follow up with Trump. Further, Trump's lawyers allege that JP Morgan placed the president and his companies on a reputational blacklist that both JP Morgan and other banks use to keep clients from opening accounts with them in the future. JP Morgan has previously said it believes the suit has no merit. No, it's got merit. Debanking occurs when a bank closes the accounts of a customer or refuses to do business with a customer in the form of loans or other services. Once a relatively obscure issue in finance, debanking has become a politically charged issue in recent years, with conservative politicians arguing that banks have discriminated against them and their affiliated interests. Because it's happened. They've done Obama's bit. This is all Obama started this, and it's continued. In a devastating concession that proves Trump's entire claim, JP Morgan admitted to unlawfully and intentionally debanking President Trump, his family, and his businesses, causing overwhelming financial harm. The president's lawyer said in a statement, President Trump is standing up for all those wrongly debanked by JP Morgan Chase and its cohorts and will see this case to a just and proper conclusion. Debanking first became a national issue when conservatives accused the Obama administration of pressuring banks to stop extending services to gun stores and payday lenders under Operation Choke Point. Wow. Hey, open airlock policy. How's it going, bud? How you doing? Spacers Unite. United Spacers Alliance. Yes. Join the alliance. Trump and other conservative figures have alleged that banks cut them off from their accounts under the umbrella term of reputational risk after the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Since Trump came back into office, the president's banking regulators have moved to stop any bank from using reputational risk as a reason for denying service to customers. This is not the first lawsuit the Trump administration has filed against a big bank alleging he was debanked. The Trump organization sued credit card giant Capital One in March 2025 for similar reasons and allegations. That case is still ongoing. So, what do we think? What do we think about this? I think it's wrong. Yeah, hit the like and share the links on all platforms. Definitely. Thank you very much. So I think it's a shitty story. Too smart, Jim. Thank you, Lisa. Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. And with that, we are now $90 away from the first additional hour of the show and $40 away from Bellavision. Thank you so much. Yes. Yeah, hermaphrodite is a mighty big word for a 10-year-old. Yeah. What wasn't that joke? Remember, there's a joke, I don't even know how I should say it, where a guy says, like, back from a smoke break, here we go, boys. That's great. Yeah, hermaphrodite's a mighty big word for a 10-year-old. It's like a joke, right, Steve? But it was a pedophile. It was like my girlfriend called me a pedophile. Not my girlfriend. A guy says in the joke that my girlfriend called me a pedophile. And I said, well, that's a mighty big word for a 10-year-old. So, anyway, love this, Jimmy. Thank you. So JP Morgan, for the first time, confirms it closed Trump's accounts after the J6 attack. So I'm just going to look at this briefly because we basically covered it in the other story. So I don't want to go over it again. But so the disclosure was made in a court filing, part of the ongoing legal disputes. So they're admitting that they closed his accounts after the January 6th attack, or whatever, January 6th riot, which Trump was not present at. So yeah, so it's basically the same story. We read it. And I believe it's the same story on the AP. JP Morgan concedes. So that means they conceded. They said, yes, we admit it. We did it. We weren't supposed to do it, but we did it. It kind of means they lost the lawsuit, in my opinion. I'm out of money, all you, baby. Oh, thank you. So, yeah. Oh, exactly. That's a joke we were talking about? Okay. All right. Well, let's go on to this story then. Ghislaine Maxwell fights release of more Epstein documents. She calls the disclosure of the law passed by. She calls the law that Massey and Kavanaugh forced through, says it's unconstitutional. That's a mighty handsome man. Ghislaine Maxwell fights the release of the documents, calls disclosure law unconstitutional. Lawyers for imprisoned British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell. Is it Ghislaine or Ghislaine? I don't know. Hey, Spuds, what's up, buddy? Great to see you. Great to see you, Spuds. The lawyers filed papers late Friday in Manhattan federal court to try to block the release of documents from the since settled civil defamation lawsuit brought a decade ago by the late Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre against Maxwell. The Justice Department recently asked a judge to lift the secrecy requirement on the files. Prison isn't working for her. Do you think she really is a he? I don't think she's really a he. I was just making a joke. Hey, Spuds, good to see you too. That's great. So, Maxwell's attorneys said the Justice Department obtained the documents otherwise subject to secrecy orders improperly during its criminal probe of Maxwell. They said the documents include transcripts of over 30 depositions and private information regarding financial and sexual matters related to Maxwell and others. I guess then if there wasn't Eve, why would not Eve want to be Eve? Like, yeah. I would not let her massage my feet. Never mind. Some records from the years-long exchange of evidence in the lawsuits battle were already released publicly in response to a federal appeals court order. Maxwell's lawyers say a law Congress passed in December to force the release of the millions of Epstein-related documents violates the Constitution's separation of powers doctrine. Congress cannot, by statute, strip this court of the power to relieve it of the responsibility to protect the files from misuse. To do so violates the separation of powers. I haven't heard this argument before. I wonder if there's a lawyer who wants to talk about this, but makes sense. She wasn't a bad-looking woman back in her day. No, she wasn't. She wasn't. She was, 30 years ago, she was a looker. I said looker with an L, not hooker with an H. I said looker. I'm sure she was a hooker, too. Congress cannot, by statute, strip this court, yes, of the power relieved and the responsibility to protect its files from misuse. To do so violates separation of powers, says lawyers Laura Menninger, Jeffrey Podgulaka. Under the Constitution, separation of powers, neither Congress nor the executive branch may intrude on judicial power. That power includes the power to definitively and finally resolve cases and disputes. Now, here's the problem. Back when she wore a pearl necklace. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Here's the problem is the lower courts, the lower inferior courts, the Supreme Court, all right, the one Supreme Court is the co-equal branch of government. All of the lower courts jurisdictions are set by Congress. So what they do is set by Congress. Congress, or like the district court judges, the appeals court judges, all of the courts that aren't the Supreme Court, Congress by statute sets up what they do. Their powers are not established in the Constitution. The Constitution specifically says Congress will establish courts. Not the Supreme Court, though. So that's why my argument is that lower courts, like district court judges, like anything below the Supreme Court, they are not the co-equal branch of government. There's not 7,000 co-equal judges. It's crazy. Either one works. Hail all us. Thank you, Karen O. Thank you for being here. The release of the Epstein-related documents from criminal probes that began weeks ago has resulted in new revelations about Epstein's decades-long sexual abuse of women and teenage girls. Some victims have complained that their names and personal information were revealed in the documents while the names of their abusers were blacked out. Members of Congress have complained about that only about half of the existing documents, many with redactions, have been made public. I mean, how many documents are you supposed to make? I mean, geez. Except for some files that can't be made public until a judge gives a go-ahead. Giuffre said Epstein had trafficked her to other men, including the former Prince Andrew, now known as Mountbatten Windsor. She sued Mountbatten Windsor 21, claiming she had sex when she was 17. He denied her claim, and the two settled the lawsuit in 2022. Days ago, I thought the lawsuit was thrown out. Spelled the name wrong? Oh. Congress needs to start abolishing crap lower courts like all the DC courts. Definitely. In a published memoir, after she killed herself, Giuffre wrote that prosecutors told her they didn't include her in the sex trafficking prosecution because they didn't want her allegations to distract the jury. Yeah, because she kept walking it back and changing her story. So they didn't bring anybody in who could be called a liar. Maxwell was convicted and sentenced to 20 years in prison. Epstein took his own life. Did he, though? Did he? Allegedly took his own life as he awaited trial on sex trafficking charges. Maxwell was moved from a federal prison in Florida to a lower security prison camp in Texas last summer after she participated in 2 days of interviews with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. So sorry, I turned the light on now. Hail all us. I think, okay. 2 weeks ago, she declined to answer questions from House Oversight Committee lawmakers in a deposition conducted in a video call to her federal prison camp, though she indicated through a statement from her lawyer that she was prepared to speak fully and honestly if granted clemency. Well, yeah, I mean, why would she talk to them? And she has an appeal going on. So them trying to talk to her violates her rights. Just like this ornament, Epstein didn't hang himself. Yes. The Justice Department did not immediately respond for a request for comment on Saturday. Oh, look, nurses are on strike. And is that a man or a woman? I don't know. That's weird. Looks like a man in front. The New York Nurses Association. Why do I keep seeing these things? No, lower courts need to stay in their lanes. Yeah. Yes, they do. And, same story basically from the AP. Just says Ghislaine Maxwell fights the release of more documents, calling the disclosure unconstitutional. Is that hair on her ears? Oh, and this is crazy. We were talking about the storms. We're going to get into the storms, but this is just nuts. All right. There's these huge storms coming. They're saying it's going to be blizzards. All right. In New York and New Jersey and Vermont and other, along Massachusetts, along the East Coast, they're calling for blizzards. They're saying they're saying it's going to be calling for a blizzard, saying it's going to be a blizzard. So New York is looking for people that are going to, shovel snow. They're looking for emergency snow shovelers ahead of the weekend storm. All right. Tony Rodham died mysteriously about a month before Epstein. Was he the body they switched out? Could be. Chimney sweep. Yeah, she looks like a chimney sweep. Shovel-ready jobs. Yeah, here we go. New York is requiring multiple forms of ID for anyone who wants to register to be a paid emergency snow shoveler ahead of this weekend's winter storm. Yes, you heard that right. The Dems are saying that requiring an ID to vote is akin to Jim Crow 2.0. So no ID to vote, but you want to work for New York shoveling snow, 2 forms of ID. Lake effect snow in Ontario, you'll never complain again. We used to get some crazy lake effect snow in Chicago, man. Crazy lake effect snow. Here's the link to the site, but emergency snow shovelers are called on after heavy snowfall to remove snow and ice citywide from public areas like bus stops, crosswalks, and fire hydrants. We recruit temporary per diem by day shovelers as needed. Pay starts at $19 per hour and increases to $28 per hour after the first 40 hours worked in a week. Eligibility. To be eligible, applicants must be at least 18. They must be eligible to work in the United States. They must be able to perform heavy physical labor. To register for an appointment, workers must have 2 small photos, 1.5-inch squares, 2 original forms of ID plus copies, social security card. Get paid to clear snow from ice and bus stops. I mean, that's just crazy. Democrats are stupid. Voter ID, no. ID to shovel snow, yeah. Yes. ID to shovel snow, yes, definitely. Yeah. House Republicans say, let's get this straight. Zoran Mandami's socialist utopia. It takes 2 forms of ID to shovel snow, but no ID to vote. Make it make sense. The storm equals Penske paddy wagon team. Eligible to work in the U.S.? Yeah, they must be eligible. That means they can't be illegal aliens. They must have work permits. I guess I think about other stuff because 12 is right for season. I learned of 10th month, which is Greek. If right now things were to get thrown off, it would be a calendar change season-wise. I don't know. It's one hell of a town. You too can become an emergency snow shoveler. Be sure to bring your papers. This is a great use of AI, I tell you. And just so we're not like people don't think I'm making it up. They really are paying people to fight ice. Yes, they are. Leave the turds. Yes. Yeah. Take the snow. Leave the turds. Instead of leave the cannoli. Emergency snow shovelers. Yeah, to help keep New York safe after winter storms, they're called on. Oh, we saw this already. Eligibility. It's right there. To get paid. Ask Mr. Snowman. Yes, because a massive blizzard is set to wallop New York City with up to 20 inches of snow as a bomb cyclone puts millions of dead. Listen, we had blizzards, we had all these things. They never called anything a bomb cyclone until like 8-10 years ago. It was like, we're going to have a bomb cyclone, whatever the frick that's supposed to be. Nobody knows. I just want to remind everybody, we've been going for an hour and a half, an hour and 30 minutes. We got roughly 30 minutes left to show if we don't hit the goal. We're still like $90 away from the first additional hour and $40 away from Bellavision, which, there's Bella. She's just hanging out, waiting to hang out with you guys. Just saying. She wants to hang out with you. Millions along the East Coast are said to get walloped by a massive blizzard that could drop as much as 24 inches of snow in some parts of the region, stretching from New York City up to Boston and beyond. Forecasters have said more than 1,700 flights were canceled Saturday in anticipation of treacherous conditions at major travel hubs like JFK, LaGuardia, Newark, and Boston's Logan Airport to ensure operational safety. Truth is powerful ammo. We are describing this storm as a major nor'easter, which is expected to impact more than 30 million Americans from as far south as Delaware and Maryland to New York and Boston Harbor. This says the 5 boroughs can face 6 to 12 inches of snow Sunday and Monday. A bomb cyclone is a rapidly intensifying mid-latitude storm characterized by a significant drop in atmospheric pressure, often leading to severe weather conditions such as heavy precipitation and strong winds. The storm is predicted to begin Sunday and rage into Monday morning with wind gusts of more than 60 miles an hour. Oh, that is crazy. 60 miles an hour, you are going to get some huge snow drifts. The snow expected to fall between 1 to 3 inches per hour in some areas, causing experts to warn of potential power outages and coastal flooding. Did Rome learn from Egypt or Greek then? Well, if the Greeks learned from the Egyptians and the Romans learned from the Greeks, blizzard. Governor Kathy Hochul declared a state of emergency for New York City, Long Island, and southern Westchester County beginning Sunday morning, ahead of the major nor'easter that'll bring a predicted 18 to 24 inches of snow to the Big Apple alone. Hey, Sunshine says, rally time. Come on, everybody. Thank you so much, Sunshine. And with that, we are now $85 away from the first additional hour of the show and $35 away from Bellavision. Thank you. Or was it Abbey Road? That's like the Beatles' White Album in snow. Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about. The picture. Yeah, I think it's Abbey Road. Hey, look at this. I think it's Abbey Road. The White Album was just plain white. Lisa with a big 10. Thank you. Thank you with the 10. With that means we are now $75 away from the first additional hour of the show and just $25 away from Bellavision. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Lisa. I am from Central New York. We get more snow than anyone. Thanks, dude. There is stuff looking for. Okay. Thanks, Lisa. So they're predicting 18 to 24 inches of snow in the Big Apple alone. Wow. Extreme impact zones with substantial disruptions to daily life are expected and have been expanded to include New York City and Boston Harbor. The storm will have very strong winds, near blizzard conditions. I would see blizzard conditions, treacherous travel conditions, and other travel conditions are going to worsen rapidly Sunday into Monday morning. Oh, it says an ancient Egyptian calendar, a civil calendar, was a solar calendar with a 365-day year. The Egyptians did know a lot of stuff about about the solar system and the stars and the precession. It's called the different things, like it, and they learned all that from like the measurements of the pyramid and stuff are different. Hey, look at this, another 10 from Trumpinator. Thank you so much, Trumpinator. With that, we are now $65 away from the first additional hour of our show and just $15 away from Bellavision. Wow, we're just $15 away from Bellavision. Just saying, just $15 away from Bellavision. Yep, the belt of truth, yes. The blizzard warning for New York City, Long Island, New Jersey takes effect 6 a.m. Sunday and will last until 6 p.m. Monday. Blizzard warnings are only issued when 13 to 18 inches of snow are expected and winds of 55 miles an hour are predicted. Wow. That's some windy winds. The 5 boroughs in Long Island are expected to get anywhere from 18 to 24 inches. Wow, they got matching. Look at this. They got matching bread, leggings, matching hats, matching. What's with this? What is this? Like some kind of crazy outfit? We'll see Bella soon. Yes. There could be some localized power outages and wind gusts. Hold on. Wrong one. All right. Twins? I don't know if that's twins, but it's just they got matching outfits on. Like, why do they have matching outfits on? Same hats, same scarves, same jackets, same gloves, same leggings, same shoes. Like, that's weird, right? Am I missing something? Because they're completely different people. One's skinny, and one's not. One's built like a linebacker, and the other one's kind of petite. People walk across 6th Avenue. There could be some localized power outages and wind gusts. Light snow will start at 6 a.m. on Sunday morning, and temperatures are above the freezing mark, but precipitation will get heavier by the afternoon. It'll be difficult to get a lot in the way of accumulation during the daytime hours on Sunday, just given the temperatures above freezing. Well, if the temperature drops suddenly, the worst of the storm will be overnight Sunday to Monday morning. That's when we expect the core of the nor'easter. Yeah, Laurel and Hardy. Yeah, it kind of does look like that. Watch the camera view of the street pipe J6 pipe bomb. Many dressed the same. The video. Yes. We got a super sticker from Gail Evoy. Hey, what's up? Hey, Rosanna Dana. How you doing? Wow, and with that, we are just $10 away from Bellavision and just $60 away from the first additional hour of the show. Wow, I didn't have that on. I wonder. So we are just currently $60 away from the first additional hour and just $10 away from Bellavision. Rock, we have Angel's Doors on the second floor in the Tug Hill Plateau. Otherwise, you can't get out. Oh, wow. That's crazy. I seen the father, too, though. Thank you, Gail. Snowfall rates will start getting higher around 5 p.m. Sunday. He said the heaviest snowfall will be from 10 p.m. Sunday to 10 a.m. Monday. We're talking about 1 inch per hour or higher during that time. Well, I mean, 1 inch per hour would be 12 inches, so that's 12 hours. So maybe more. Maybe more. We'll see. Maybe more. Snow remains heavy until midday Monday afternoon, but will lessen around noon and finally end late afternoon. The heaviest of the snow will begin to taper off as we pass daybreak Monday, but there will still be some snow flying around Monday afternoon. Oh, look at this. It's a beautiful sight. Snow on house roofs. Looks like home. Well, that's great. And then Lisa comes in with 5. It's always something. Thank you. With that 5, that puts us at now. We are just $55 away from the first additional hour and just $5 away from Bellavision. And then Spuds comes in with the gifted membership. So with that, we have Bellavision. Thank you, Spuds, for Bellavision. Let's see who got that membership. It says that Amazing Disgrace received the gifted membership from Spuds. Amazing Disgrace received the gifted membership from Spuds. So thank you, Spuds. It's like how others seen too, which means not UFO. Love that saying was quote of her father's. Yes. Thank you. So with that, we are now just $49 away. Just $49 away from adding an extra hour to the show, folks. We're just $49 away. Just $49 away from adding an extra hour to the show. Thank you so much. We need to see Bella. Yes. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everybody. Oh, no, snow. Yeah, it's crazy. Amazing Disgrace. Good to see you. Yes. I thought global warming would end snow. Yeah, remember they said no snow, no more winters. Remember they said that? No more winters. No more winters. Hey, there's Amazing Disgrace. Hey, Karen. Oh, thank you. Hey, what do you got? Beware of dog with gun. Mm-hmm. Temperatures will be in the mid-30s, with Monday a little warmer in the upper 30s. There's not going to be an extreme shot of cold air with the storm, which is likely will get difficult to get the snow accumulation during the day tomorrow. On Tuesday, temperatures will be in the mid-30s, and on Wednesday and Thursday, back to the lower 40s. So it'll be a slow, gradual melt of the snow throughout most of next week. The last official New York blizzard dubbed Snowzilla was January 2016, when the city was hit with over 2 feet of snow. Yes, people will die, but that's a sacrifice Mandami is willing to make. Hey, Renee Collins, what's up? Great to see you. Hey, everyone. Awesome. So Newsmax, has nor'easter threatens 80 million, blizzard warnings from D.C. to New York City. Powerful nor'easter is expected to slam the mid-Atlantic and Northeast Sunday and Monday, bringing heavy snow, blizzard conditions. So I think we covered this enough. There's going to be a snowstorm. Everybody, if you're in these areas that are going to be impacted by the snow, make sure you have alternative sources of heat if your heat and power goes out. Ways to stay warm. Make sure you've got food on hand, canned goods, stuff like that won't spoil if you lose electricity. But then again, if it's that cold out, if it's in the 30s, you can just put the stuff outside to stay cold. So lake effect can have below 0 degree temperatures. 30 degrees is balmy. Yeah. So it's expected to blast the mid-Atlantic, the Northeast with heavy snow and strong winds Sunday to Monday. So on to this next story. So this story is very interesting. Polar bears be swimming more. No icebergs if they move to Minnesota. Plenty of ice there or nearby states. Yes, definitely. So snow tsunami for Mandami. So the U.S. moves dozens of F-35s and F-15 fighter jets to Jordanian Air Base, according to this report. All right. On Friday, the United States military moved dozens of jets to Mufwaka Waka al-Salati Air Base in central Jordan. In context, analysts note the base serves as a key hub in U.S. preparations for potential strikes on Iran, with Jordanian officials saying the deployment is part of the defensive agreements with the United States. A CENTCOM live map shows 30 F-35s, 36 F-15s, and more than 60 attack aircraft, at least 68 cargo planes since Sunday, and soldiers installing new air defenses on Friday. Why do we always avoid using the F-22s? Because we don't have very many of them. We only have I think we only have 120 or 180 or something. We were supposed to have 600 and Obama killed it. And then Trump tried to bring it back, but they said, we don't have any of the equipment to make them anymore. So, but the F-22 is a way better plane. They're just super expensive. What's up, Lady Bama? Great to see you. And I don't think they stationed the F-22s in Jordan. I think they stationed those in Italy. And then they'll just make the trip from Italy or from Diego Garcia or from somewhere else that we have more protection over. It says, Amman insists it will not allow its territory for attacks, and Jordanian sources warned of economic and security risks despite the non-involvement. While President Trump said on Friday he's considering a limited strike. Trump said they have 10 days. A-10s are reported in Crete. Okay. That's not that far. Over the past month, officials from Jordan and the United States, United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia praised talks and said they barred attacks from Iran from their soil, while Wot Jaba Taveri Taran MP urged Jordanian forces to seize the base. Oh, yeah, that would work out well. I wouldn't mind not having a winter, except it would mean more mosquitoes in the summer, or so they say. I don't know if I believe that, because from what I understand, Alaska has mosquitoes the size of hummingbirds or something, like huge mosquitoes, like really bad mosquito population in Alaska. So I don't know. So I don't know. There's really not many. The reason I pulled this up is there's not many stories on this, and it's like trying to find the story to talk about. So we'll see. Oh, I had it one already. So we'll see a couple of these stories and see if I can. So from the Jerusalem Post, which is totally not biased at all. FloodX, what's up, buddy? Just buzz a few warthogs with loudspeakers imitating the 50 cal sounds. Well, it's not 50 cal. I think those are 30 millimeter or 30 or 40 millimeter. What the hell is it called? There's a specific name, and they built the gun around the plane. I mean, the plane around the gun. It's a crazy, crazy gun. The Avenger, I think it's called. The gun's the Avenger. I think it's a 30 millimeter or 40 millimeter cannon. The bullets are like about this long, about that long, and about half as wide. How fast do Alaskan mosquitoes reproduce? I don't know. It's a 30 millimeter GAU-8 Avenger. It's an amazing gun. Gatling gun, yeah. It's an amazing gun. Super duper good gun. Super duper good gun. Oh, yes. And so with that 10, that means we are now just $39 away from adding an extra hour to the show. Just $39 away from adding an extra hour to the show. Let's see. Are we going to make an extra hour tonight? 3,900 RPMs, yes. Yeah, Alaskan mosquitoes, how fast do they reproduce? 3,900 RPMs. Wow. No, I know he's talking about the gun. More than 60 jets were pictured parked on the Mafwaka salty base. It's a salty base. They're very salty there, which is 3 times more than the usual number of attack aircraft present on the base. United States military has moved dozens of fighter jets to a Jordanian airbase, according to satellite imagery and flight tracking data analyzed by the New York Times. If it just made the sound, it would be effective, my point. Oh, I agree, that sound, but that sounds like burp, 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 burp. According to the Times report, at least 68 cargo planes have additionally landed on the base, and several U.S. drones and helicopters were seen in the area. Soldiers were spotted installing new air defense systems that Times theorized would use to protect the base from potential Iranian strikes. A live map of U.S. Central Command movements created by the Tel Aviv University-affiliated think tank Institute for National Security Studies showed that as of Saturday afternoon, 30 F-35 fighter jets and 36 F-15 fighter jets were present at the Mafwaka Salty Air Base. Here it is. So here's the this is going to show all the stuff there. Wow, this is crazy. Look at it. Look at all these red boats and white boats, and then look at this. That's some kind of something there. And then wow, Riyadh, and wow, Kuwait City. There's Jordan. Jordan is over here, right here. There's Djibouti. Make sure you pay attention to Djibouti. Here's Amman, Jordan, Damascus, Syria, Iraq, Iran. So. Jordanian officials speaking to the Times on the condition of anonymity, which means they didn't want the king to come cracking down on them. I thought it was called a Vulcan cannon. I might be wrong. No, it's the there's a Vulcan is different, but the cannon in the 810, the Vulcan is the cannon that's on like the on other stuff, but on the 810 it's the Avenger. It's a huge cannon. Like the whole plane is basically built around it. So is the F-15. How long till the end of the show? Well, right now it could be as soon as 10 minutes if we don't hit the $39. I'm probably going to go a little over. I'm not going to end it right at the 2-hour mark, but I've worked at the Saudi Aramco, and it's like O'Hare, but with fighter jets, even in peacetime. M61 Vulcan is a 20 millimeter 6-barrel. Yeah. So they stated that the deployment of the aircraft and equipment is part of a larger defense agreement with the U.S. The officials additionally shared that they hope negotiations between U.S. and Iran will lead to a deal and prevent the war in the region as tensions between the two nations intensify. Amazing disgrace. The F-16s have the 20-millimeter Vulcan cannon. According to the additional Times report, U.S. troops across the Middle East have been shuffled around, and the possibility of U.S. strikes on Iranian regime looms. Troops from the Al Aid Air Base in Qatar, bases in Bahrain, move for unspecified missions and operations. Avenger is 7 barrels. The symbol on the map looks like a flex arm is ADA. Iranian MP urged Jordanian forces to seize Mufwaka Salty base. Earlier in February, both Jabal Zareh, a pro-regime Tehran MP and member of Iran's Foreign Policy Commission, urged Jordanian forces to attempt to seize the Mufwaka Salty base. Yes. Avenger and money printer go burp. Come on, everyone, turn out your pockets. Yes. In a post on Twitter, Zareh claimed that the base was used in protecting Tel Aviv and the Zionist cannibals during the 12-day war in June, during which U.S. and Israeli forces destroyed much of Iran's nuclear weapon manufacturing infrastructure. Prepare yourselves to seize it and take American soldiers captive. Yeah, that would be bad. And stating the base has been turned into the most important American base in the world, devouring empire and partner. In the world, devouring empire and a partner of Israel. Wow. That's a crazy story, ain't it? And so here's the Sun newspaper. Oh, look at that. Spuds gifted another membership. Thank you, Spuds. Oh, let's see who got that membership. And it says that Anthony 1283 received that gifted membership. Whoever Anthony 1283 is, I greatly hope he's appreciative of that gift. And that means that we are now $33, just $33 away from an additional hour of the show. And how it works, folks, everybody knows is that as long as I'm still broadcasting, if we hit the goal while I'm broadcasting, I honor it and extend it by the hour. And here goes another 5 from Amazing Disgrace. Here's some money. Thank you so much. Let's get this little bit of a roll here. So that means we are now just $28 away. Just $28 away. Thank you all so much for being so generous. Yes, thank you all. Yes, 28. Lol. Thanks, Buds. Just $28 away. Here's some money. Yes, thank you. Clearest sign yet of a coming storm. It's an imminent strike on Iran as new satellite pictures show more than 60 U.S. military jets at a key base. Let's see. I'll say if this is just well, they're not even saying anything in this video, so I'm kind of going to stop it and we'll just read the story, I guess. So, at least 60 military jets have touched down at a key base in Jordan in the latest sign that Donald Trump is preparing to strike Iran. Helicopters, F-13 stealth jets, and a new air defense system were seen in satellite images at Mufwaka Salty. That's Mufwaka Salty Airport. Trump threatened to strike Iran. The huge buildup of 60 aircraft around the triple amount normally stationed there were pictured and parked. So the aircraft have scrambled to Jordan as part of a new defense agreement, local officials told the outlet, adding that fears of a regional war were mounting. Countdown to chaos. Everything's obliterated. What to expect from Trump's imminent Iran blitz? Sorry. Trump could launch the first wave of Iran strikes in days. The U.S. leader has hinted at launching an attack on the mullah's regime over the next few weeks. On Friday, he said, what's this say? We had 3 of those at our local AFB when a president had to stop for a staff medical emergency. They are more than ginormous. Wow. And look at this. Look at this. Wow.
Tactical assessment. Red Chinese victory. Impossible. America will never fall to communist invasion. Communism is the very definition of failure.
Well, thank you, Marjorie. Gifted 5 Jim Tells You memberships. And that says that AI Stella VT Hot, VThought, received a gifted membership. AI Stella VThought. MD Houghton. Marshall Beaupre received a gifted membership. Dennis B. and Gecko Dundee all received gifted memberships thanks to Margie Smith. Margie Smith. I don't know. And then with that, folks, that means that we are now just $98 away from a second additional hour of the show. Yeah. What do you think about that? We're now just $98 away from a second additional hour of the show. We got another hour to go. At least. Thanks, Marjorie. Yeah, thank you, Marjorie. Where in the world is Diego Garcia? Probably somewhere can you find Carmen Sandiego. Worked for the C5 for 21 years. Any plane you work after that seems small. Bitch better have my money. Hi, bitches. What's up, Joe Biden? How you doing? I like planes and living near a base lets me see some cool ones. I don't mind being in a flight path. I grew up in the flight path of Midway Airport in Chicago, so I saw planes all the time. You know, like right up they go over my house, and I lived right next to train tracks, so I heard trains all the time. Planes, trains, and automobiles. Yes, all the time. It says, thanks, Indian Ocean. Yes, Indian Ocean. Welcome. Yeah, the Indian Ocean. Diego Garcia is in the Indian Ocean. On Thursday, the U.S. president gave Tehran a deadline of 10 to 15 days to make a deal or face really bad things. Really, really bad things. Yes. Oh, look at this. Renee Collins with 5 Jim Tells You membership. Wow, thank you so much, Renee Collins. Let's see who got those memberships. It says that Jen B12 received a gifted membership. No Filter 201. Stimulated Cynic received a gifted membership. Well, that upsets me that Cynic is not a member on his own. Henry 9971 and Jordan 734W4Q received a gifted membership. Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Renee. With that, we are now $68 away, just $68 away from a second additional hour of the show. Wow. We're moving right along tonight. Thank you so much. Hope Bella is doing well, Jim. No offense. Right now, she's got a look of rigor. No, she's just sleeping. I mean, I can wake her up. Diego Garcia is in the middle of nowhere south of the Indian Ocean. Yes. We could time dinner from the Jumbo Jets. Yeah. Very nice. Thank you, Renee Collins. C-17 was the best cargo plane ever built. Thank you, Renee. Renee! Bella, what are you doing? See, she's awake. Now I woke her up. Hi, Jim. Love my Bella. Yes. Yeah. She looks so much like your son's dog, Abby. And now she's like, "What? You woke me up and you didn't have a treat for me?" That's what she's saying right now. The huge U.S. military buildup in the Middle East has fueled fears of war with the Ayatollah of rock and rolla, which could spark a wider chaos in the region. The USS Gerald Ford, the world's largest and most powerful aircraft carrier, is believed to be on track to reach the region by Tuesday. State-of-the-art fighter jets on the Behemoth and its sister carrier, the USS Abraham Lincoln, are already stationed near Iran. They could be ready to wipe out the ruling mullahs and their defenses. Thanks for proof of light, Jim. Flying tankers needed to refuel jets have been detected in Spain and Greece. White House sources previously told the New York Times and CNN that Washington was prepared to strike Iran as early as the weekend. Oh my God, I'm so drunk. U.S. military planning has reached an advanced stage, which includes targeting individual leaders and possible regime change, top White House officials say. Sources say. Target acquired. Where are the American troops and their allies based? Check out the Ford from below the waterline. AZ Merce, it's C5 or nothing. Yes, I'm biased. And yes, in that video, I could see the leaking forward ramp. There they all are, ready to go. Trump also said at his inaugural meeting of the Board of Peace that the U.S. would maybe strike a deal with Iran, You're going to be finding out over the next maybe 10 days, he said. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian vowed on Saturday to not bow to pressure from world powers amid the nuclear talks. Abby's favorite ball is Comey's head, I call him. She guards him and knows what I'm speaking about. Ha 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 ha. He said world powers are lining up to force us to bow our heads, but we will not bow our heads despite all the problems that they are creating for us. It comes after Washington and Tehran held indirect crunch talks in Geneva on Tuesday. Iran's top negotiator said both sides had agreed to a set of guiding principles during the 3.5-hour discussions. Tehran is reportedly not willing to budge on its right to enrich uranium, a key aspect of building nuclear weapons, sources told the Washington Post. Khamenei's negotiators have continued to reject demands to dismantle his nuclear program or to end the bloody crackdown on protesters. I am not a crook. Freudian slip. Strike Iran. Hi, Jim. Bomb, 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 Iran. Bomb, 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 Iran, bomb, Iran. It is the plan to bomb Iran. Force them to adopt dogs from the shelter. Axios reported on Friday. Yes. A U.S. official on Thursday revealed the plan is to hit the regime with ever-increasing firepower until they concede to demands or are overthrown. I am not a crook. But Axios reported on Friday that Trump may be willing to consider allowing Iran token nuclear enrichment as long as it leaves no possible path for a bomb. A former U.S. Special Forces colonel has also warned that Trump could obliterate everything if he pulled the trigger on bombing Iran. Ron McMahon told The Sun Iran's regime could face annihilation if the U.S. war plans are really set into motion. You never heard that? Clever. It was Ronald Reagan said that in a sound check, and they made a bunch of back in the day. He was like a sound check. They were doing a sound check, and he goes, bomb, 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 Iran. And they got all bent out of shape. And he was just joking, and they leaked it out and caused a bunch of problems. Insiders say the U.S. can flick the switch of Iran's defenses with ease, as agents did last month to capture Nicolas Maduro from Venezuela on Trump's orders last month. Iran's defenses mainly consist of Russian S-300 systems that were quickly neutralized by U.S. electronic jamming and harm anti-radar missiles in Operation Absolute Resolve in Caracas on January 3rd. Yes. He's saying like this. He's saying, I'm here. Come get me. Yes, remember, Iran has declared war on the U.S. Yes, they have. Strike a deal or get striked? That is the question. There's a good version on YouTube. We sang it when I was a teen. Yeah, that's a good song. Well, sirens blaring here in town. Wonder who Sheriff Judd is chasing now. Get him, Jerry. Get him, Jerry. A satellite overview shows the Fordow fuel enrichment facility following U.S.-Israeli strikes in June. Maduro and Ayatollah as cellmates, yes. God-given rights. I see the Father before that other stuff. So, yes. Let's see here. And then This is the oh, look, I don't know if I'm going to be able to figure this out. This is in German. So let's see. I guess we'll do this one. So, Brecken mere alle eller 60 kanten flugenzugel nach Dordanian Verglet. Die Plungen für die Einen müssen schon Militarien Angler von der Jüris auf Aranen schleifen, offenbar immer weiter voran, dann trampen alrotten der Drack auf das Regime intolerant. Oh, thank God. My German is just not what it used to be. Yes, the U.S., Israel, and England, they say death to. Yeah, you like that? Report more than 60 U.S. fighter jets deployed to Jordan. Bad Spotzen Jalalen. Oh, Mitti, dan Nacken verticken kann der Witschken Nusen verpressen. Mein Trump. Plans for the U.S. military attack on Iran are apparently progressing rapidly. Donald Trump is increasing the pressure on the regime in Tehran. It's a show of force. What was taught to you growing up? To honor thy father and mother. According to a report in the New York Times based on satellite images, I think we read all this. So, Trump has recently increased pressure significantly in a nuclear dispute with Iran. I think I can say that I'm considering it. When asked if he was going to consider a limited attack to force Iran, he said he was going to consider it. So the Luftwaffen Stützpunkt Mafraka Salty. So Luftwaffen Stützpunkt. Luftwaffen Stützpunkt. The Streitkraft and Ergelweikel Stützpunkt. In the Marskin Marinen Stützpunkt. Wow. Know Your Memory Escapes Me, not the same song. So, yeah, so that's what's going on. Salty Muff, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, let's see. Next story. Oh, let me update. First, I have to update the goal in YouTube and add another hour to the goal. So we will say 10 super chats, $5 or more for 1 hour. We'll do this and this and do this and put this here. We'll say that. And we are currently $68 away from a second additional hour. I'll start that goal over there on the YouTubes. Goal created. Let's see. We have 109 people watching right now on YouTube, and we have 89 likes. So we're only 20 likes off. It'd be nice to get the whole 109 people to get the like button going, but it is what it is. Lebensstraud. Yeah. Honor thy father and mother, and hear the lamentations over the women. Yes. So the 2028 Winter Olympics. Team USA wins its most gold medals ever at the Winter Olympics, with more still in play. That's right. So even the Olympics, Trump is setting records. Wow. It's amazing. It's amazing. Uh-oh, where's Bella going? Bella, where are you going? What are you doing? Well, Bella needs a hug. Yeah, I don't know if I could get the camera to show where she's at. Let me see. I'll try. That's about the best I could do. Is that good? It's about the best I could do. So there she is. She's mad. Maybe she's mad I woke her up. She's coming to get her hug. Maybe. She looks comfy. Outside time. No, she would. If she needs to go out, she'll tell me. She'll start making noises. So she will start making noises. From figure skater Alyssa Liu to skier Michaela Schriffen, the athletes representing Team USA at the 2026 Milano Cortina Games have proven to be the country's most golden group yet. Team USA captured a record-setting 11 gold medals at these Winter Games. The record-setting came Saturday when the U.S. mixed aerials team headlined by Chris Lillis, Connor Curran, and Kayla Kuhn topped the podium, beating Switzerland, which came in second, and China, which finished third. Do you have a treat? Not on me. I don't have a treat on me. I'd have to go get one. And remember another 60 fighter jets on each carrier. Yeah. What did I tell you? We've got rope. Anyway, to get comfortable. Yeah. It's also great to get Olympic gold with my teammates and to do it for them and the team doing it for me, Lillis told reporters. I couldn't describe how special it feels to bring the gold home to the U.S. Team USA's 11 gold medals in Italy are the most any team has won at any Winter Games, surpassing the 10 captured at the 2002 Salt Lake City Games. The U.S. has recorded 9 event wins in each of the subsequent Winter Games before this year. The U.S. possibly could add to the total over the next day. The U.S. men's hockey team is set to take on Team Canada in a gold medal game Sunday morning, 3 days after the U.S. women stunned Canada in overtime to win the gold. Well, that would be very funny, a very funny turn of event if the U.S. was to defeat Canada in the women's and men's hockey. Hey, Spuds is back. What's up, Spuds? Now you all get to see Bella's belly. She's going to roll around over there. Aren't there like hundreds of people on a carrier? 2,600 to 3,000. 2,600 to 3,000 are present when it's a full air wing on there with all their personnel. Somewhere, depending on the carrier, 3,000, roughly 3,000, maybe more now. I don't know because they're bigger carriers, maybe more. I would always find a treat. Balls and sticks are great. I have treats; they're just not in this room with me. How's that? I could go get one. Your brother served on the Constitution. That's awesome. Norway won its 17th gold medal Friday, setting a Winter Games record. Norway won 17 gold medals with Jan Hofslot Klæbo's win in the cross-country team sprint. Norway is up to 18 gold medals and a total of 40. Why did I say four-way? 40. Saturday morning, Norway is up to 18 gold medals and a total of 40. Italy is in third with 30 total medals, including 10 gold. 10 gold. Wow. Well, I guess it makes sense that Norway would be doing really good on the medals in Winter Games because they're like a winter place. We can't unsee Erica's questionable outfit. Why are they still attacking this woman? Always, people always wander onto the carriers. I served on the Diablo sailfish sailboat. AP says U.S. wins its record 11th gold medal at the Winter Olympics. A record-breaking 11th gold medal Winter Games. The trio, at least we talked about this. 11th breaks the country's mark set on U.S. soil in 2002. It's going to be another turning point. Another turning point for USA. Turning point USA. Hey, what do you know? Not so much for the sheer number of medals, but for the variety of places in which they came. 12 of the 17 sport disciplines represented in Winter Games produced medals for the U.S. Our focus and our strategy has always been about breadth, says Sarah Hirschland, the CEO of the U.S. Olympics and Paralympics Committee. We want to win everything. We want to make every sport better. Some could argue that there are countries that go a mile deep in certain sports and really dominate. Our goal has been to improve winter sports across the board. We can wait a minute? What does that mean? To go get her a treat or to take her outside? Klæbo sets Winter Olympics gold standard and leads Norway to new heights. Must be some kind of skier. Will the Olympics bid farewell to one of its toughest winter sports? Maybe. Winter Olympics recap. Brignoni's double gold after broken leg. Klæbo sets medal record. The aerials medal, then a bronze for speed skating from Mia Magliano later in the day, lifted the U.S. to 31 overall for the Olympics with 1 day left. That's second to Norway, which has a record 18 gold medals and 40 overall. 72% of the golds came in the endurance sports of cross-country, biathlon, and Nordic combined. The biggest gold medal hauls from the U.S. came in 4 disciplines. 2 each: alpine skiing, freestyle skiing, figure skating, and speed skating. Speed skating. There are 38 more medal events on the program this year than there were in 2002. Oh, so see, there's a difference. There's 38 more medal events. So that would mean more people should win medals. And that's like the fact that the U.S. only won two more than they did in 2002 when there's 38 more medal events. We should be winning them all. A lot of new events have come at the snow park, half pipe, slope style, and big air, which used to be America's domain, but has now been taken over by Japan, which, for instance, won 9 medals in snowboarding compared to 2 for the U.S. Bella is doing an at impersonation. Yes. Turning point just used now, in my opinion. Yeah. Lincoln about 3,200 with the air wing, 28 with the air wing, 2,800 Ford, 4,500 ish. I knew like the Nimitz had about 3,000 with the full air wing. I knew that. All right, and the my dad smoked enough cools to win a styrofoam sailboat. Ah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Sleeping at. We stated we wanted to be a podium nation. Finn Kirwan, the U.S. OPC's chief of Olympic sport, said of the U.S. goal being a top 3 of the medals tables. We said it likely 30 medals, and we got after it. The athletes delivered on their potential, and in turn, we hit the record on gold medal performance, which shows that our very best were able to execute. Here are some looks at the rest of the U.S. gold medal winners. Alex Ferreira, free skiing. Half-pipe skier, rounds out his Olympic collection, gold, bronze, silver, gold, silver, bronze, back home. He'll keep going with streamer hot dog hands, where he dressed up like an 80-something ski sensation. Oh, you guys remember Hot Dog, the movie? Breezy Johnson, alpine skiing. Breezy Johnson, breezy on Sunday morning. Elizabeth Lemmy Moguls, nicknamed the Lizard. She joins a long line of great U.S. mogul skiers, including a 2010 champion, Hannah Kearney, and her teammate, Jalen Koff, who now has 3 silver medals. Alyssa Liu, figure skating. Yeah, this was a girl whose father, this girl's father fled China after the Tiananmen Square disaster, murders, whatever you want to call it. Hey, Vince is here. What's up, Vince? Hello, everyone. Sorry, off topic, doing another research while listening. That's fine. Take that boat and give it a fiberglass shell. Meatballs, yes. I love that movie, especially at that age. Yes, it was. Lizard seems like an unfortunate nickname. I wonder if it's because of her tongue. Like she does things with her tongue, maybe. So anyway, 20-year-old stepped away. Alyssa Liu, I don't know, rediscovered her love for figure skating. Stepped away after the 2022 Beijing Games, rediscovered her love for figure skating, and happily claimed the title. Elizabeth Myers-Taylor, bobsled. At her 6th Olympics, she finally broke through, becoming the oldest winter Olympian to win gold at 41. Michaela Schriffen, alpine skiing. The most winning skier of all time, crashes in the Olympics with a slalom gold. Cashes in at the Olympics with a slalom. Jordan Stoltz, speed skating. Second man to capture the 500 and 1,000. Joined Eric Heiden at Lake Placid in 80 as the second man to capture both golds. U.S. figure skating team, Lou Amberglen and Ilya Malenin are among the members of a team that brings home a 2nd straight gold. The last one took 2 years to capture after a Russian doping saga. The Russian doping saga. The day the dope turns. The U.S. women's hockey team in a tense thriller, highlighted by Hillary Knight's equalizer with 2 minutes and 4 seconds left. Then Megan Keller's winner in overtime. It's just basically all this same stuff here. All right. And then on to the next story. You are next. Trump is raising global tariffs to 15% after Supreme Court defeat. You heard it right, folks. Trump is not taking it sitting down. He's going to make it 15%. Trump called SCOTUS ruling on the tariffs a disaster. Let's see. We did listen to some of this last night, but I'm going to play this again because, maybe some people weren't here last night.
Wow, got a lot of people. That's a new record. We set a record every time. Well, thank you very much for being here. The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing, and I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed, for not having the courage to do what's right for our country. I'd like to thank and congratulate Justices Thomas, Alito, and Kavanaugh for their strength and wisdom and love of our country, which is right now very proud of those justices.
Wow. Crazy, right? Oh, did you guys see this? Les Wexner's attorney caught on hot mic saying he'll...
I hired a lady to be like the house manager who had run the U.S. Embassy in Rome, and said, "Yeah, I know how to do this." And I said, "Well, why don't we keep inventories of stuff?" And she said, "Oh, yeah, I could do that." So she did that that's kind of a puny example, but I wouldn't have had the idea. But then all the things were inventoried. That wasn't work for me or Jeffrey. It was just regularly done.
Answer the question.
Okay.
A discrete question on a different topic. We know that at one point you owned a property in Palm Beach. It was a large oceanfront estate. We understand that you sold that estate to a guy named Abe Gossman, and that later
Abe Vigoda.
Trump and Mr. Epstein got into a bidding war over that property. Do you have any knowledge of, or did you have any involvement in that dispute between Mr. Epstein and Mr. Trump?
No. I hired a lady to be like the house manager.
I don't understand what... So Trump and Epstein got into a bidding war over a property. What does that have to do with anything? Beautiful cat says, "I'm going to listen while I rest. Night, night, everyone. Keep going. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Rest your deep bundle eyes. Lay down. Go to bed. Rest your head. Wake up when it's time to rise." It was regularly done. Yes. Good night, beautiful cat. I did it. I did it. I was trying to be a good boy. That was a great thing. So let's go back to this story. So President Trump said Saturday he's going to bump up his newly imposed global tariffs to 15% in the wake of the Supreme Court decision blocking his sweeping import taxes on international trading partners. The increase was based on a thorough, detailed, and complete review of the ridiculous, poorly written, and extraordinarily anti-American decision on tariffs increase issued yesterday, after many months of contemplation by the United States Supreme Court. During the next short number of months, the Trump administration will determine and issue the new and legally permissible tariffs, which will continue our extraordinarily successful process of making America great again, and greater than ever before. Trump announced the 10% global tariffs Friday after the Supreme Court's 6-3 decision that the president had exceeded his authority under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977, which allows presidents to regulate commerce during national emergencies. Well, gee, what does regulate commerce mean? To impose tariffs to address trade imbalances and to halt fentanyl smuggling. Trump had previously said he was ashamed of 3 conservative Supreme Court justices who ruled against him, but now plans to rely on a different legal provision known as Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974. Actually, POTUS was not given tariff power by the Constitution. Correct, he wasn't. He was given tariff power by statute, laws that Congress passed. Because sometimes tariffs have to be enacted without having to wait for Congress to vote and go through all the stuff. Sometimes it has to happen right now when countries are doing things. You can't wait months or years to enact stuff. The president has to have the authority to do it, and Congress gave him the authority in multiple different statutes. Yeah. Regulate means to control. Yes. So that's what I would do. That's what I would do. I would say, well, okay, you won't let me, okay, I can't put a tariff on it, but I could just say you can't import anything from China. Oh, let's do that. Just say you can't import anything from China. Let's see how this works out. What are the companies going to do then when they're not allowed to import anything from China? Huh. That's what I would do. Yeah. 6 months. China wouldn't last 6 months if we stopped importing from them. They would not last 6 months. They would collapse. Article 6, Section 3, all public servants shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. Yeah, I agree. It allows for tariffs up to 50% for a maximum of 150 days to address large and serious trade deficits. The president is already on shaky ground, claimed Andrew Hale, a trade expert at the think tank Advancing American Freedom, which is affiliated with the former Vice President Mike Pence. Oh, what do you know? What do you know? Mike Pence. Huh. He said the law only applies when there's a large and serious U.S. balance of payments deficits under a fixed rate system, but the world abandoned the fixed rate exchange rate system in the 1970s. Well, you know what? That's what he can think and say, but it's up to the president to decide. Let's say the Masons Paramilitary Manual, page 17, section 1, number 1, the constitutional provisions stand on a higher plane than statutes and are mandatory. Yes, they do. The Constitution, statutes all still have to follow the Constitution. Trump has also said he would use other authorities to reimpose tariffs, but these take more time and require official investigations before taking effect. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer, the country's chief negotiator on trade, said additional tariff efforts under Section 301, which are incredibly legally durable, would commence. Those tariffs are meant to address unfair trade practices which contribute to the deficit. We're going to keep continuity in the program. Yes. Gypsy says, breaking news. My Alexa just learned a lot of new cuss words after I dropped a drill on my foot. Trump used his authority under Section 301 of the Trade Act to impose tariffs on Chinese exports during his first term, and they withstood challenges. Trump said Friday he was initiating several Section 301 and other investigations to protect our country from unfair trade practices. Despite the demon rats who saw the Supreme Court decision as a political victory, U.S. Senator John Kennedy cautioned they should be very, very careful what they wish for. My Democratic peeps better be careful what they ask for, because if he gives back the $300 billion worth of tariff money to the business community in America, this economy is going to roar, man. And the midterms are only a few months away. I think it's going to be a whole bunch of problems if they try to give the money back, because all the people that paid extra money can then sue the company for their money back. Yes, top news here. That's right. Top news here. Should have been like that. Yeah. Great sound effects. Thank you. What was that? Oh, perfect sound effect. That's my special breaking news sound effect. Yeah. Attention, Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea. Teletype. Yeah. That's where I get my news from, the teletype. The Epoch Times says that Trump raises global tariff to 15% after the Supreme Court ruling. Yeah, what's up? Scott Bessent suggested the Supreme Court ruled that only the IEPA can be used to impose tariffs on other countries. Yes, because that's what it said. Because the Supreme Court also said in their own decision that there's all these other ways to do the tariffs. So, yep. And then impose. So I, as the President of the United States of America, will be immediately raising the 10% worldwide tariff on countries, many of whom have been ripping off the U.S. for decades without retribution until I came along, to the fully allowed and legally tested 15% level. Trump said in Truth Social Post, the president initially announced a 10% tariff on February 20th, soon after the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that the administration lacked the authority to levy tariffs on dozens of countries under the IEEPA. And Saturday, Trump suggested the updated 15% tariff booth was based on a thorough, detailed, and complete review of the ridiculous, poorly written, and extraordinarily anti-American decision on tariffs released yesterday. It says, KJM, I love you. Please audio level all your little things. It's difficult to do. Why did he go from 10 to 15? Who was ticking him off today? I don't know. I don't know. I think it's funny, but I don't know. The president said in a post that the administration will spend the next few months seeking alternative ways to impose the legally permissible tariffs. The Trump administration has stated that it believes there are alternative ways to tax foreign goods. Despite the misplaced gloating from Democrats, ill-informed media outlets, and the very people who gutted our industrial base, the court did not rule against President Trump's tariffs, Secretary Bessent said while speaking about economic security at the Economic Club of Dallas on February 20th. Bessent suggested the Supreme Court ruled that only the IEPA cannot be used to raise revenue from other countries. This administration will invoke alternative legal authorities and replace the IEPA tariffs. We will be leveraging Section 232 and Section 301 that have been validated through thousands of legal challenges. Treasury estimates show that the use of Section 122 authority combined with the potential enhanced Section 232 and Section 301 tariffs will result in a virtually unchanged tariff revenue in 2026. Jay Liebgott says, go Indiana Bears. I don't know. The clips are high volume. Okay, I can turn them down. If I'm not a bum, then now what? Up there, then how? Yeah, I could try it. Let me see. Is this better? Let me see. That's a little lower. Sunshine says, I like Barnes' idea to make all the tariffs 20% and abolish the income tax for those making under 250K. How about just abolish the income tax? Because, you know, when they started the income tax, they said it was only for people that were making like $1 million a year. It was like uber rich, super rich. And then they just immediately passed it on to everybody else. I like the helicopter sound. Me too. So, yeah, so that's the problem is how about just get rid of it altogether? Because if you leave it in there for anybody, they're just going to change it back as soon as they can. The Treasury Department stated that the federal government, Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974 allows the president to enact tariffs up to 15% to address trade imbalances, but they would require congressional approval to be extended after 150 days. There you go, projecting voice volume. Okay, yes. People making $5,000 a year. Yeah. Will the Bears still move to Indiana after all the talk of pulling the NC from IU? I don't know what that means. I'm not in a position to be bitching. Don't worry about it. The Bears are the reason the Bears are going to move to Indiana is because the county and the state refused to do any adjustments to the property taxes on where the stadium was going to be built. They were going to charge them full freight, 10%, like 10 and 11% on property taxes on the stadium. And if you build a $2 billion stadium, you're talking about $200 million a year in property taxes. That's why they're going to move. Because it's like, we're not paying you. We're not paying you. We're not paying you. $200 million a year for property taxes. That would be effing awesome, eh? To me, it feels like discovery and thesis plus questions of Bible Egypt. There's a UFO. We the people, tax is unconstitutional. Taxing business is exactly what governments are doing. Back at you, dude. Yes, I got you. So, but Friday's ruling could force the federal government to refund billions of dollars to companies that paid tariffs under the International Emergency Powers Act. Well, those companies are going to have a problem because if they pass that money, the fee, the tax on to consumers, those consumers are entitled to a refund also. Because, you know, over 1,000 companies, and all the Democrats, all these people railed and said all that revenue that the American people are paying it. So it's the American people that you get the money back, not the companies, right? We are going to have to keep paying higher price and road. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer And the Senate Finance Ranking Member Ron Wyden criticized the administration's latest attempt to impose new tariffs. We're all going to have to keep paying higher prices. None of these people said a fucking word about higher prices under Biden when it was like insanely crazy stuff. Despite fears that tariffs would drive up prices, inflation dropped to 2.4% in January, which was below expectations, according to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Yes, the common law is the real law. The supreme law of the land, the codes, the rules, the regulations, policy, and statutes are not the law. Remember Eric Dollard? Can I share a link? I don't. Thank you for the $2. I don't know if I don't. The name sounds familiar, but I don't want to kind of get off topic. $66 away from a second additional hour of the show. When the Browns moved to Baltimore, part of the deal was being allowed to apply sales tax collected at the POS towards the property tax bill. Ravens got a sweetheart deal from a desperate shit city. Yeah. All right, so that's that story. And here's just the center square. It says, day after Supreme Court ruling, Trump says it will raise the tariffs to 15%. Now, this is a story which, I don't know, like, I thought was important when I saw it, so I wanted to cover it. Please vet it first, though, my bad. I mean, you can send it to me. You can send it to me by email. You can send it to me on X. You can send it to me in the Discord, any of them ways, and I can look at it. Speaking on links, Jay Ligot, please give me your channel link. Well, it doesn't really make sense to deduct it and then refund it. And with EIC people and kids actually getting a bonus, some will work just enough to qualify for EIC. Yeah, right? Mm-hmm. I can never remember the channel name, sorry. Major win. Vermont foster care license restored to a couple that opposed transgender treatments on children. Yes, you heard it right. The state of Vermont took away a foster care license from people who opposed mutilating children. Gender mutilation. It's nuts, right? Nuts. Kurt looked that caser up. Pertains to positive versus non-positive statute wording. Okay. Yes, it's YouTube at WTSF Shorts. A Vermont couple's fostering license is being restored after their opposition to the practice of sexually transitioning children made them a target. Eric P. Dollard. Okay, I'll look into it. Where did all this stuff come from to go after children? It all started with this guy named Money. His name was Money, Dr. Money. And he basically destroyed two twin boys. They were called the Reimer twin. No, the Reimer twins? Is it the Reimer twins? Is that confused? I think it was the Reimer twins anyway. But I think it was the Reimer twins. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's the different twins. But destroyed them. One of them, I think the one or both committed suicide after he basically forced one to be a different gender and did all this stuff. And all this gender stuff, transgender, bifluid, trans fluid, transmission fluid, radiator fluid, all that stuff comes from Money. Was that the Nazi stuff? I don't know. No, the Nazi stuff came. That stuff was Money was like I don't know. I think that was I thought he was in the 60s, what he did to them kids. But that's all the gender spectrum stuff came from Money. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Like the stuff that the Nazis were burning books about, all that trans stuff, that was someone else, a different doctor. So the married couple was identified as Melinda Antonucci and Casey Matthew, who said the Vermont Department of Children and Family Services forced them to participate in LGBTQ training when they applied for the license. Yes, what the fuck is wrong with Vermont? Oh, that sounds awesome, Jay Lee got. Yeah. For those that oppose mutilation, Vermont has listening to Sanders for way too long. Lol, doctor. Yeah. During the process, the DCF discussed medical procedures for children transitioning to the opposite sex. In her statement to the outlet, Antonucci, they became foster parents because they wanted to help children in need. Yes. One was damaged because of circumcision, and the parents were advised to raise him as a girl. It's a really sad story. It is a really sad story. RCA shit. The state tried to disqualify us because of our protected beliefs and because we wouldn't say what the government wanted us to say, adding that the recent settlement meant our family can continue to serving foster youth, and it helps ensure that other foster parents won't be punished for speaking honestly or living out their faith. The oldest living generation has most of the money, and pushing all this insanity instead of admitting capitalism has fucked us. No, capitalism hasn't fucked us. Crony capitalism and crime and theft and fraud has fucked us. We've allowed too much fraud, waste, and abuse to happen. And I wouldn't say also that the oldest generation has all the money. Believe it or not, the richest people in the world, like the richest people, the top 3, I think, or 4, are all new money people. People that not capitalism, crapitalism. Yes. Yeah. But think about it. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Peter Thiel, what's the other guy's name? The guy from Oracle. I can't think of his name. All those people are new money people. All the founders of Google, they're new money people. They're not old money. It's all new money. That's the thing about money and stuff. New people always come in to replace the old people. Money was the doctor who said he could assist them in gender reassignment. Yeah. Yeah, he's the reason. In an announcement Friday, the Center for American Liberty said it reached a settlement with DCF, calling it a landmark federal civil rights case challenging Vermont's attempt to impose ideological conditions on foster care licensing. Crapitalism, dude, that's a new term for me, bud. Yeah. Crony crapitalism. The settlement requires the state to adopt and implement statewide practice guidance governing licensed conversations involving LGBTQ issues for minors. In March 2024, Senator Roger Marshall from Kansas introduced a bill to block the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services from implementing a rule that could keep parents who are against gender ideology from being able to foster children. Yes. Old money got spread out over hundreds of descendants. Yeah, it always does. Conversely, Denmark, Finland, Sweden, and the United Kingdom had all began to restrict the use of puberty blockers given the side effects and often lifelong impacts, which the reports had indicated that the world is at a turning point on transgenderism. It is important to note that former President Joe Biden's administration pushed it real good, the leftist transgender agenda on children and scolded parents who opposed their agenda. Oracle CEO Ellison owns 98% of a Hawaiian island, Epstein-like, maybe. Capitalism works until you can decide how you suffer. Okay. In regard to the Vermont case, CAL lead attorney Josh Dixon said the state tried to turn foster licensing into an ideological screening process, conditioning the ability to serve vulnerable children on compelled speech and mandatory adherence to the government's preferred views. This settlement is a major win for the constitutional rights and for kids who need safe, loving homes. Vermont is restoring our clients' license and adopting statewide guidance that puts the focus back where it belongs, on real-world caregiving and child safety, not political orthodoxy. Don't move to Canada, dudes. I wish Canada would save itself. Canada has always been more liberal, left-leaning than the United States, but they were always sane. They seem to have gone a little insane lately. I guess when you elect Fidel Castro's illegitimate bastard son to be your prime minister. What do you expect would happen? Vermont couple reclaims foster care license after taking a stand on child gender transitioning. Vermont settles LGBTQ plus foster care lawsuits, updating licensing guidelines. On to this next story, which I think everyone will be interested in. How early did the CIA know about the Nord Stream attack? The boomers didn't give a fuck. It doesn't work, man. The healthcare is going to bankrupt the country. Yes, it will. It's going to bankrupt us all. I see that theory. Yep, a little odd. Yeah. In 2022, a Ukrainian commando blew up the Nord Stream natural gas pipeline. Der Spiegel has learned that the CIA may have spoken to the saboteurs during the planning phase. The first Russian assault on the capital of Ukraine had only recently been repelled when, in the spring of 2022, operatives from the CIA, America's foreign intelligence agency, met with Ukrainian specialists in a covert sabotage operation in the Podil district of Kiev. The group was apparently familiar with each other. They had known each other for years. The Ukrainians, according to people familiar with the meeting, had brought an idea along with them. They wanted to blow up the Nord Stream pipelines, the tubes that transported several billions of cubic meters of natural gas from Russia to Germany, thereby providing a source of financing for Moscow's war against their country. The Americans appeared to like the plan. Ukrainian participants in the meeting would later tell confidants. Well, I wonder who that was. Oh, that's right. That was Joe Biden and those people. Remember when they talked about it? Well, we could just blow the thing up. Yeah. In national news now, they would never have said this during the beer bug days. Now police are involved with corruption to survive. Yeah. Der Spiegel relies on support from its readers. Additional meetings between the CIA representatives and the masterminds of the attack on the gas pipeline at the bottom of the Baltic Sea are said to have followed. Der Spiegel was able to speak with several individuals in Ukraine who provided details about the meetings. According to their accounts, the Americans knew about the attack plans for far earlier than previously known. T-dot, baby. They say that to the planners of the Nord Stream attack, the U.S. agents in spring 2022 appeared at the very least to be sympathetic listeners. The insiders say they discussed technical details pertaining to the sabotage operation. So that means, folks, for everyone paying attention, that when the U.S. government came out and tried to fucking blame Russia for blowing up the pipeline, they were propagandizing us and the world for a war. They were using fucking propaganda against us, the Biden administration. They knew it was the Ukrainians all along, and they fucking lied to us. They say that the planners of the attack appeared to be, the insiders say they discussed technical details pertaining to the sabotage operation. Is that an accurate account? When we approached them for comment, the CIA spokesman called the story completely and utterly false. The CIA declined to say what precisely about the account was inaccurate. Der Spiegel has decided to report on the events despite the denial by the U.S. intelligence agency. The CIA would never admit to this. They would never admit it. Never. The editorial team has known the Ukrainian sources for years, and the information provided by those sources has consistently proven to be accurate. They knew details of the attack early on that they were only later confirmed by German investigators. Monkey Works captured on FlightAware at the time, U.S. helicopter. Protect what you have. Be a community member. Create value for you and your neighbors. The coming world war will be fought against communities. The coming world war will be fought against communists. Communists who have infiltrated the Canadian government, the American government, all the governments around the world have been infiltrated by agents of communism, of Marxism. The account made an issue that was already delicate for the government of Berlin even more uncomfortable. Currently, former Ukrainian commando soldier Sergei K. is being held in pretrial detention in Hamburg. He is alleged to have been involved in the destruction of the pipelines in September 2022. That month, several men and one woman, they wanted to be diverse, so they had to get a woman, sailed across the Baltic Sea on a 3-hour tour on a chartered yacht called the Andromeda, near the Danish island of Bornholm. Divers attached military-grade explosives to the gas pipelines on the seabeds. Neighbors, we saw them during COVID. Yes, Der Spiegel. Blighten die Brandhammer. Sie alle Gruton IFD Falle. According to a detention order by the Federal Court of Justice in the case of Sergei K., which was made public in mid-January, the operation was highly likely to have been state-directed. The state in question is Ukraine, the very country the German government has been supporting with many billions of euros since the Russian invasion. Well, folks, I just want to remind everybody, we got about 10, 15, 20 minutes left in the show. Unless we hit the goal, we are currently $66 away from a second additional hour of the show. Now it appears that the U.S. intelligence operatives may have been aware of the attack plan in its early stages and did not initially object to it. Bella shook her head to that. What? She did? Why would she do that? According to Der Spiegel's reporting, only later did they change their minds and warn the Ukrainians against carrying out the operation without success. Sergei K. belongs to a circle of Roman Shevetsky, a specialist in covert operations and sabotage, who formerly worked for Ukraine's domestic intelligence agency, the SBU. He is considered the mastermind behind the attacks. Listen, all y'all, it's a sabotage. Listen, all y'all, it's a sabotage. Can't stand it, don't understand it. I don't ever take this Watergate. Now, the 51-year-old was part of an elite unit co-established by the CIA after the Maidan Revolution in 2014. That's right. This guy was part of an elite unit established by the CIA after the CIA and the State Department, Nuland, right? Victoria Nuland pushed the Maidan Revolution. The SBU's so-called Fifth Directorate made a name for itself with spectacular operations against pro-Russian separatists. Targeted killings were also part of the secret unit's repertoire. So they were doing targeted killings, assassinations. These are the good guys. When Chervinsky transferred to Ukraine's Military Intelligence Services, HUR, in 2019, the covert work against Moscow continued, often with U.S. assistance. Following a failed operation, though, Chervinsky was forced to leave the intelligence services in 2022, but with Russia's invasion of Ukraine, his skills were once again in demand. So what was he doing? Ukraine is Victoria Nuland's malformed baby. Yes, it is. What was that malformed baby's name? Quato or something like that? Quato from, what was that? Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, the one about Mars, called Quato. Yes, Ukraine is Quato for Victoria Nuland. What was the failed operation that this guy was doing in 2020? So you have to ask yourself, what operations were they doing? They're saying this guy was doing all this stuff, but this was before Russia invaded. So what were they doing? What were they doing? Who were they killing? Who were they killing? Early in the war, the sabotage expert helped defend Kiev. Once the Russians had been pushed back from the gates of the capital, the old team of commando specialists reassembled. Quaid, start the reactor. Start the reactor. The universe is on Orion's belt. In principle, it hadn't mattered over the years which service or which unit one belonged to, said a former Ukrainian member of these commando teams. We worked with the Americans. Yes. In spring 2022, the search was on for new ideas to inflict maximum damage on the Russian enemy. And an old idea resurfaced among the commando members. Hey, they could attack the Nord Stream pipelines. The galaxy is on Orion's belt. Yeah, that's the galaxy. I said universe. It's the galaxy. The galaxy is on Orion's belt. What are you talking about? By this point, the pipelines in the Baltic Sea had long been a thorn in the side of Ukraine and the vast majority of Western nations. I don't think it was a thorn in the side of Germany or these countries that were getting their natural gas through the pipeline. I mean, this doesn't make any sense. Nord Stream allowed Russia to supply Europe directly with natural gas, bypassing Ukraine. Oh, bypassing Ukraine. Gee. So that's why all the Western nations didn't like it, because they couldn't all fucking steal? Because that's what Ukraine is, a giant money laundering thing where they're all stealing fucking money. I present you Hunter Biden as Exhibit A. Not only was Kiev losing out on the transit fees. Oh, so it was all about the transit fees. Blow it up. But the pipelines made Germany, Europe's most powerful country, dependent on the Kremlin. Well, they need to get it from somewhere. Without that pipeline, according to the saboteurs' logic, the Russians would lose an important means of applying political pressure. The U.S. had never been supportive of the gas pipeline stretching more than 1,200 kilometers from Russia to Germany. I don't know about that. In early 2022, then President Joe Biden had threatened to end the project in light of the planned commission of Nord Stream 2. No. Biden threatened to blow it up, and Victoria Nuland said they would blow it up. Did you mix Total Recall with Men in Black? Yes, I did. Because it was both little creatures talking, right? There was a little creature talking when it was dying, and then Quato was also a little creature on the guy's belly or coming out of his belly or whatever. So I mixed them together just because I like to do things like that, to see who's paying attention. I always heard Ukraine was a laundromat. Yes, it is. It is the laundromat. The laundromat. U.S. is now, over the course of several months, Ukrainians developed a plan to have divers attach explosives to the pipeline. They considered various routes and vessels and deliberated over the various types of explosives and searched for suitable men and women capable of diving to depths of up to 80 meters. That's 240 feet. The saboteurs also gave the operation a code name, Operation Diameter. Money laundering as the GDP. Yes. In Ukraine, the operation was ultimately approved by then Commander-in-Chief Valery Zaluzhny, according to insiders, but not by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Yeah, I don't believe that. Zelensky's trying to cover his ass. In parallel, according to Ukrainian insiders, there were repeated meetings with the Americans to discuss the planned operation. They told our guys that's okay, says a man with knowledge. And at that point, the Ukrainians say that they had not yet heard any word of caution, quite the opposite. Huh. And who was president? Oh, Joe Biden was president. Secret meetings with the CIA. Already during the second meeting, according to the account provided by the Ukrainian insiders, the CIA gave a signal of support. They gave him the high sign. Go ahead. Not only that, but the impression arose on the Ukrainian side that the U.S. agents might even assist with the financing. I wonder if we did. The CIA declined to comment on the detail when asked by Der Spiegel. The intelligence agency only said Der Spiegel's reporting was wildly inaccurate and shouldn't be read for factual information. Oh. Maybe Trump should release the information. That would be a way to really stick it in Biden's craw. Oh, look, Biden blew it up. Biden caused the worst. Biden caused the worst ecological damage to the environment, like in history, man-made. Kevin, what's up, Kevin? What's up with that new Bella angle? Well, Bella got out of her bed and moved, so I had the camera follow her to where she was sitting. That's all. Why would the U.S. endorse an attack on an ally's infrastructure? Yes, why? Why would the U.S.? No need to demand answers from liars of open source government. Yes, that would make much better. And it's the same thing from the Sunday Times. It says the CIA considered backing Ukraine plot to blow up the Nord Stream pipeline. Well, of course they did. Of course they did. Of course they did. Of course they did. All right. Let me do this. 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 What works? What works? Okay. Check this out. The California government is paying protesters over $100 million. I think they use SEALs. Doubt Ukraine had the skills needed. Yeah, I don't. Does Ukraine have deep divers like that? I don't know. Do they work on pipelines and stuff? Kamikaze dolphins? It's possible. It's possible. Anything's possible. Cam Higbee reports that I have discovered that the state of California is using taxpayer funds to subsidize nonprofit organizations whose core function is to organize protests. Churla has taken in over $100 million alone in taxpayer funding, according to the state's expenditure website. Based on their website, Churla's primary function is to protest and left-wing advocacy. They have been protesting and advocating since 1986 and take credit for some new scum policies. If you support my work, please consider donating here to PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. The Coalition for Human Immigrant Rights. Look at that. Oh, $36,115 million. Churla should be banned outright. Done away with. 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 Let's see who's lying. Wow, this is crazy. There's more stuff there. 1 second, please. 1 second, please. Okay. Let's see what else. So here it is. Here's their website. And so their website and social media are flooded with photos and videos of their ranks protesting for an array of causes such as BLM, DACA, anti-ICE, Medicare, and healthcare. So yeah, so California has all this money to protest all this shit and pay them. The government paying protesters over $100 million, more of it. As a California, I demand my weed gummies are picked by the smallest illegal fingers as possible. Will anyone have to answer for that money going to Churla? I doubt it. National donor security scam. Yes. I'm so tired of seeing all these politicians stealing right in front of everybody's noses. Me too. Hey, Jim tells you, did you catch the post exposing Gabbett funding from a Pakistani? No, I didn't catch it. I didn't see it. I did not see it. So on their website, Churla admits that they engage in electioneering through the GOTV and take direct credit for New Scum's COVID relief aid. If federal or state funds were used for electioneering, this may be a serious crime. There's no way of telling whether this occurred without looking at their books. Oh yeah, Churla's Get Out the Boat campaign. What do you know? All this stuff. Much more to come. There is this one of dozens I will continue releasing. Well, that's awesome. I hope you do more. Look at this. Leftist NGOs set out 9.6 million pre-filled absentee ballot applications to Georgia ahead of the 2020 election. So take a note of that. All right. All right. Leftist NGOs set out 9.6 million. Pay attention to that number. All right. And they're sending 9% because why there's now a law against it. The SEB said America PAC sent some partially pre-filled. In other words, a small amount. Because as Elon Musk committed election fraud in Georgia because he sent out some pre-filled things, but he didn't. He didn't. You know, Elon Musk conducted widespread voter fraud in Georgia. No, he didn't. Leftist NGO sent out 9%. In other words, a small amount. Yeah, so it's a small amount that they did, and Elon Musk did. All right. The key word too is that you got to remember. All right, is that there's only 8 million people there, and they sent out 9 million fucking ballots. There's 8 million people in Georgia, and they sent out 9 million ballots. Why? How's that possible? How is that possible? Look at this. Can you imagine that the Washington Post hasn't covered this terrorist attack on the Trump Kennedy Center? A targeted attack on a Trump Kennedy Center. Wow. Look at this.
Listen to this. A toxic chemical was poured on the outdoor ice rink at the Trump Kennedy Center Friday, forcing the cancellation of a skating performance there. Officials are describing it as calculated, malicious attack, saying that it was not a protest, but actually an act of outright vandalism. The unidentified dark substance severely damaged the outdoor arena, and the venue turned over video footage to the authorities, who they say are now investigating. Listen to this.
That's crazy, right? Have you heard anything about it? Anything about it? About the attack? No, probably not. Look at this. Ilhan Omar is absolutely fuming. She tried rushing to Minnesota to play a savior for a group of illegals, but ICE beat her there and deported them all. Lamau. ICE pulled a ninja move. Ka-cha! And got the job done and bounced before Ilhan Omar can even virtue signal.
Thank you. When did you give notice? And I just want to make sure you did not see any detainees.
No, we gave notice 8 days ago. We got confirmation yesterday that we were going to be allowed in. And the last detainee was taken out at 11:30 a.m., 30 minutes before we were set to arrive.
What about the children who were released in T-shirts on Wednesday?
And we also did ask, you know, how many people came through today, which is why it felt convenient that no one was there. They said 10 when we first got there, and 10 were gone, and then they said there were another 5. And so I circled back and I said, can we go and see the 5 that are here, because we have privacy release forms? And they said, no, we cannot permit you to go into the cell to see the detainees. And I said, well, we don't need to go into the cell. We can, you know, put the forms, slide them in, and then we can look through the glass and see what their conditions look like. And then they oohed and ahed for a little bit, and then conveniently, as they were taking us towards the cell, someone said, there's not a single person left, and they took us into an empty
spit or swallow.
So it's just the timeline and the stories seem very convenient for what they really were working very hard for us not to see and witness. But thank you all. Oh,
man, she was too late. Too late. And ICE's swift enforcement in Minnesota proves the system works. When politics don't interfere, while some politicians race to stage photo ops, federal agents are doing their job upholding the law, removing those here illegally, and protecting communities. The self-deportation app and streamlined processing, key parts of this administration's strategy. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Allow rapid, lawful action without the theatrics. Omar's outrage isn't about justice; it's about undermining enforcement. Yes, ICE president. All right, so see, now that's Bella telling me she's got to go out. So, with that, on that note, folks, I think that's going to be it for this evening. We did not hit the goal, so I will be ending the show, and I'm going to send you guys over to see my friend Chris Baldessano, who's running a stream right now. That's who's got a stream going, and that's who you're going to go see. On YouTube anyway. I will see who's going on Rumble, and I'll check that out. But I don't think there'll be a show Sunday. Maybe Sunday, maybe Monday. We'll see. Sunday, Monday, but definitely Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Probably same thing like this week was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Today is Saturday, right? I think so. Yeah. Anyway, thanks a lot. Please remember to hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. Please remember, tell your friends, share it out, let people know. We need to grow this community, make it bigger, and we can do more stuff. So thank you all, and come on back for Jim to tell you the news.